And we are live here on Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel. My name is Tony Vicenda. I'm Chief Alchemist here at Plus One EXP, which is a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard, and skincare alchemy in the Bardic College of Content Creation. Our hope and desire is to help amazing designers find great players who love their games and help amazing players find great designers whose games they can love. We do that in a lot of different ways, but the most fun way to do it is just sitting down with those designers and playing their games. Today is no different. We're actually going to be doing a game that is currently in playtest mode, though it's a very polished playtest version. I've been super excited to play for the last month and a half. And we are playing Unhaunt This House, which is one of the submissions to the Together We Jam, the inaugural jam for the Together We Go, our house OSR system. This one blends ghost hunting and one of my favorite mechanics from another game, the Theorize move-in. So I'm very excited to see how all that came together. But let's let the creator tell you a little bit more about it. Kristen, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online, and tell us a little bit about Unhaunt This House.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the opportunity to be on the stream. Really appreciate the chance to sort of like thank you for playtesting this game. Yeah, to keep it brief, I'm Yanahn. I am a Malaysian indie tabletop game writer and designer, and I do like a little illustration on the side. I am based in the UK, and you can find me on at KristenChin8 on Twitter, and all my games can be found at Yanahn on h.io. So happy to really share this game with you all because it's heavily inspired by my love of a good old-fashioned like ghost busting haunted house story. I especially really like the ones where I think the aim of the game is to figure out what's going on with the ghost and sort of like have that feed into the exorcism. I was inspired by anime like Mononoke, which deals with which heavily structured the like expelling of the ghost with like, oh, you gotta find its shape, its truth, its reason, and all that sort of vibe. And I tried to channel that, and I thought like the Bringable Way Theorize role was really cool and folding into that. And I also really was like, and I was kind of interested in the idea of a haunted house as like a delve, and so when I was reading through the Void, which uses like the idea of like a dungeon delve sort of pattern in an atypical way, as it's like a space delve, I was like inspired to try that with haunted houses. So really, yeah. So, but to guide short on Haunt This House, you go in to play Spectre Hunters, going into like a distorted emotional nightmare of a haunted building where the premise is that ghosts just whenever a haunt sets up in a space, it twists it into like a sort of like distorted landscape reflecting both the rationale of the haunts, and the only way to sort of restore the building into normal geometry, Euclidean geometry, is to figure out what's going on and confront the thing at the core.
I love it. The core rules, like a lot of Together We Go games, all fit on one A5 sheet of paper. And so usually I roll in, rocking and rolling, ready to go with the character. I had meetings all morning long and totally spaced about doing it before my first meeting. I also know that Aaron and Liam, we didn't talk about it, so we might actually do some character creation live here on air. I don't know if either of you guys had a strong sense of what character you wanted to be playing. But we can roll through that real quick if we want to, just to show people how easy it is to get started. We'll do that in just 1 minute, so y'all be thinking about that. But we always use a couple of rules here on Plus One just to keep our games on track and make sure everybody's comfortable playing, especially since for a lot of us, maybe our first time playing together. With that said, we use lines, veils, and the X card normally. We also use open door policy and content warnings where appropriate. So lines are things that may happen in the world of our game but don't happen in the course for our play of it. They're off limits. Veils are things that may happen in the course for our play but are kind of glossed over lightly. And then the X card is the ability for any of us at any point in time to say X, type X into our chat, to pause the game, identify what an issue is. Could just be confusion, could be a piece of content we don't like. Remove that and move forward in a different direction. Open door policy is just the fact that we're all real human beings who have real human needs, so we might eat, drink, get up, talk to people who who are near us. All that's normal human stuff. If you need to do any of those things while you're watching, you should do them also. We certainly will as we play. With that said, we have a strong line against sexual violence here on the channel, but does anybody have any other lines or veils they want to add?
A line against seizures.
Okay.
Okay, cool. No worries. Yeah, I'm making notes on these as well. Seizures. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, it's okay. Go on.
A line for fat phobia, body shaming, ableism.
Okay, cool. Yes, that's helpful to know. Yeah, my main line is although this isn't really something that might crop. This isn't really something that's gonna crop up. I think based on my estimations of the plot of like the general vibes. Harm to minors. That's the cool.
Do we want to make that? I think this is always good for haunts. And you're in charge, but is that both past and current? Like, so when you're dealing with ghosts, there's like, hey, we don't want minors to be imperiled. Does that include in the past before they potentially died?
Spooky kid ghosts.
Yeah. How do we feel about spooky kid ghosts?
There, actually. Yeah, I think.
I would say let's make it past and present. So no spooky kid ghosts in our game today.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. No worries. It's. Thanks a lot, by the way.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Ghosts and time travel are two of the ones where your lines and veils can get very nuanced because of stuff like that. So, cool. And then we are gonna walk through character creation real quick to sketch out the characters that we want to make. Is there anything else, Kristen, that we want to talk about before we get started?
I guess since you mentioned the potential content warnings thing, I thought I'd run through the ones you might expect from this one. So since we're running the old magistrate's court haunt, the content warnings for those would be, well, there's going to be discussions of death. There's going to be potential discussions of people getting, I don't know, there might be a potential murder. There might be potential accidents. Most of the haunts might contain like this building distortion, potential like confusion of the elder, mild body horror in the like descriptions of some of the ghosts, and also discussions of the judicial system. You know, that's a big one with the magistrate's court. Yeah, because there are bailiffs in there, and you know, fake potential like spooky ghost trials and all that. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Let's look at character creation. So, once we each pick for our character why we entered the haunt business. At default, the options are knowledge, understanding, thrills, vindication, family, or wealth. And it gives us an ability that we can use once per session. Does anybody have one of those that immediately jumps out to them? And for these, I think crossover is really fine. You know, if we all have a certain reason we entered into it, but maybe we all have different ones also too.
Money, wealth, that cha-ching, cha-ching.
All right, so Liam, your character entered for wealth.
Untapped market.
My character is doing it for knowledge, to learn, to gain, to understand.
Nice.
I'm going to do it for family. Your network grants you some insights or resources. I come from a long family of ghost hunters, I think. Awesome. We're also plagued by a fatal flaw. So we're each going to pick our fatal flaw. Does anybody have any ideas for theirs? Because these aren't Kristen, these are intended to be open a little bit more so, correct? You provide a couple of examples here, but it's whatever fatal flaw you want.
Lack of moral fiber.
Oh no. Okay.
I'll go with overconfidence.
Okay, yeah. Some of these flaws are like inspired by, I think, me and Buddy just riffing off, you know, those like sort of old-timey Victorian-y adventurers, the ones who are like, yeah, I'm gonna go do a thing, and then mummies attack them, or
Yeah.
they take a curse sting or something. The
Right.
vibes.
Yeah, I love the addition of the fatal flaw because that is this is the first time I've seen somebody incorporate that tech, and so I really love that as an idea. Did you have an idea, Aaron?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with unhealthy curiosity.
Cool.
Oh, that's vibing. Yee.
And then we're gonna pick 2 points at any skill and spread them out across the skills. For each one we invest points in, we get 2 per level. Does anybody have any of the specific skills that they want to invest in? That they're like, and you can split them up or put them both in the same one. And then the other question is, Kristen, lots of times on stream we'll have people start with 3 levels just because it lets us see more of the skills. Is that okay with you, or do you want us to start with 2?
That's fine. Yeah, go for it because it'll help with testing beyond first session play too, which is good.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea. We get to see a few more things. I know that I think I want 2 points in traversal. Unless somebody else is really eyeing traversal.
No.
Does cloak yourself in the haunt just mean whatever we think it means, or is that like a stealthy thing?
I think it's I generally perceived it as a stealth thing, but if you got any like fun interpretations, please let me know.
No, that's fine. Oh man, these are all so good. What is everybody else looking at?
I'm definitely gonna do lore at least 2 levels in lore.
Okay.
Okay, lore.
Liam, anything you're looking at?
Yeah, I'm thinking I might do 2 in warding and 1 in channeling.
Cool. That sounds good. Which one in channeling were you looking at?
Oh, you get to pick? I thought it was in order.
Yeah, you pick whatever you want.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I was thinking then a sort of calming aura and banishment.
Okay, or banishment.
And then and then I also like the idea of making a little guy in a jar.
Take it, but I was 100%. I was like, I just want there to be a little boy in a jar. That's what I want to see. I will pick. I think I'm going to take +1 to commune with the haunt. The weaponry enchanted to be stronger against haunts would be good. I think my vibe I'm going with. I'm gonna go with cloak yourself in the haunt and sink into the spectral, and then 1 in channeling commune with the haunt. So I'm somebody who's very attuned to the haunt. I think is the whole vibe I'm going for.
Cool.
Aaron, what about you?
I'm going all 3 levels of lore. I'm gonna go psychometry.
Yeah.
Psychometry, insight, and doctoring.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Okay, I'm just making that.
I'll zoom in a little bit so our players get a little bit of, or our viewers get a little bit of a sense of what all we're looking at. Yep,
Yeah.
the wrong thing. These abilities are all very good.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to hear. Some of these were, honestly, the weirdest, almost offbeat. Unhaunted House inspiration at the time was Persona 5. I was watching a lot of people play Persona 5, and the Mind Palace is in there with the whole, like, dramatically traversing, architecture twisting, full of, like, spooky shadows that mimic, like, museum guards or things. That was one of the big touchstones for this.
All right, so I've got 2 in traversal, and 1 in channeling.
Cool. To traverse.
And then cool. I think we've got a good somebody who can actually deal with problems in Liam, somebody who can know what those problems are in Aaron's character, and then my character is just real spooky.
Yeah.
We all start with 3 fortitude, right?
Yeah. I think that goes up every 3 levels, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, you'll start with 3.
So, and then we'll bounce out our to hits and defenses based on whatever we have. Oh, and I love this. We only get 1 item to take into the haunt with us, right?
It's like a signature item.
Yeah. I love this. These were some of my favorite parts of this also too. Does any of those items stand out to y'all as things you really want?
Oh, my dude definitely has the odd keys.
Dang it. All right. What about you, Liam?
I'll take a weathered skull. That seems like it'd make good television.
Seems like it seems like something everybody needs. And then I guess I'll go with the sword made of old coins. And so
Nice. Okay.
they're such good items.
Thanks.
And also, you just pick your own. If you don't like any of those, you just come up with a different one.
Yeah.
So, I love it. All right. Anything else we need? We need names, I guess, huh?
Yes.
And also to pick what we promise success through.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. It's like because like different Ghostbuster, you got different haunt approaches. Like you've got Ghostbuster style, you've got the I'm a spirit medium and I'm covered in tarot card style and all that. What's your vibes?
Is that individual or is that us as a group?
Individual. I mean, or if you want to make it a bit more cohesive as a group, that's fine too.
I think I promise success through paranatural prowess.
So like psychic power style or something.
I think this is I think I'm playing Danny Phantom in a lot of ways. I think essentially the character I may have made may be Danny Phantom. That was not in my mind when we started this out, but that is definitely, I think, what I ended up with as somebody who can cloak myself in the haunt, sink into the spectral, and commune with the haunt. I might be Danny Phantom. But I think it's more that there is some part of who my family's lineage that has access to essentially has access to somewhat ghosty powers, and when we use them, I think it has the effect of almost making us look like a ghost to those around us. And so I think that's my character's vibe.
Nice. So,
yeah, I'm thinking of psychic presence, and I also think I want to swap my skull for an electric pentacle because I missed that at first, and that sounds sick as hell.
Nice. Okay.
Just a neon pentacle amulet.
Yeah, it lights up.
Glow in the dark. At the glow in the dark mini golf, it's just like a sun.
Okay, cool. What about you, Aaron?
So is this the name? Is that what you need right now?
Name and if you got a sort of idea on what your powers sort of flavored like.
Oh, gotcha. So I imagine that. So my character's name is Dr. Todd Tease. That's Teays. So Todd Tease. And Dr. Todd Tease has that kind of vibe of like a B movie, like a ghost hunter, but more like something you'd see like in a really bad TV show or movie or community theater type. And so he has like a bit of like a serious wackiness to him. But his superpower truly is like the idea of he thinks he has like one of those super minds that can like channel data in front of him and understand lore and context.
Seeing the numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He has like a bit of like a beautiful mind kind of vibe going on.
Beautiful mind, but ghosts.
Yes. But he has like this, he's not a scientist, but he has like a lab coat on and like a mustard yellow shirt and like gaudy looking tie. And so he's truly looks like some sort of weird academic community theater character.
I love it.
Vibing.
My character is going to be Livering Trips Hawthorne the 13th.
Nice.
Wow.
Trips being
Okay.
the nickname that he goes by, so that no one has to say Liverine Hawthorne the 13th on a regular basis.
My brain was already panicking trying to remember the middle of his name. And
Yeah.
my character will be Master Max Maximum Key,
Okay.
who's only about 75% convinced about this whole ghost thing, despite the fact that he does have psychic powers. He's not entirely sure he isn't just making it up, but it's good content. It's good
That's-
content. It's content for the vlog. It's content for the stream, and it's working out so far.
I love it.
Nice. Okay. That's cool. I'm really liking the characters. They all have really cool energy. Yeah. All right. So, I guess last question before I get to the starting scenario and how the haunts depend, like your all's intro to the haunt is. You all know it. Does this party of people know each other before you all rock up to the old magistrate's court?
I honestly love the idea of no.
Yeah.
Like, we just all showed up here at the same. Maybe we know of each other. Like, I feel like my family might keep tabs on other people in the biz. But I don't think I've ever. I don't think I've ever worked with either of these two individuals before. I'll let you decide how y'all are connected to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. Go ahead, Liam.
I'm here for a shoot, man.
That's valid.
So Tony, what is your character's nickname again? I wrote down
Trips.
Trip. I said Skip. I was close. So it said Trip.
Trips with an S.
Gotcha. So I think that that Dr. Todd Tease knows of Tripp's family and sees them as like an impediment in like the serious academic study of all things haunted. As like you are damaging the serious study of this work, and this is the first time that Dr. Todd Tease has ever heard of or met Max.
You're just not online enough, bro. You just need to get more plugged in with the times. You stuffy academics stuck up in your ivory tower community colleges.
Also, I just realized, Tony. So I know you picked Sync into Spectral, but which ability out of the tree did you pick, or because I think there were three potential.
Oh yeah,
choices.
that's a great question.
Yeah.
I said Danny Phantom, didn't I? I think I've got to go with either levitation or intangibility at that point in time. I'll let chat decide. Chat, you're watching right now. Levitation or intangibility. I'll go with whatever the first answer is. Also, chat, let me know what weird item you want to take into the haunted house with you. But I'll let you know in just 1 second. But I'll pick one of those two.
Is there a list of things we're supposed to pick from for that, or is it just something we just make up from our own mind?
The items you can think into the haunt. I put some examples in the character
yes.
gen, but you can make them up. But yeah,
I meant the powers. What Tony was saying that I didn't know if that was something
that
we
specific one has 3 options to it.
Yeah.
So that's all it is. I can either climb walls, preternaturally levitate, or be intangible.
choose.
that's one of the like powers that felt like, because I thought it seemed like they were in the same general zone of cool movement stuff. So I chunked them together and just offered them as an option.
No, I love that. I think so intangibility came back strongly from the Twitch chat. Brian over on YouTube. I see you, Brian. I love levitating also, but intangibility came back very strong. And so yeah, I'm can do intangible.
Alrighty.
I love being able to be intangible sometimes. But yeah, that's it.
Okay, so yeah, that wraps up most of my questions. If everyone's like comfy, we can get to the old magistrate court haunt.
Love it.
Alrighty. So, starting scenario wise, yeah, all are I think aware maybe, or you've heard of like a building that's basically a sort of like old court of justice, old like magistrate's court headquarters, like building. It's like ornate. It's like Romanesque. It's got pillars. It's got a statue of Lady Justice like in the front lawn or like the little front ground bit. And it's fallen into disrepair about 20-ish years ago. There were a few sitting judges involved. No one's really sure what happened. And I think what the ad that got put out from city council was just like, oh, what happened was they tried to reopen it as like a historical little exhibit in the middle of town. Get some tourists in who are interested about justice, have a place to send kids on field trips. And then the survey team walked in and like tree surveyors walked in and only 2 came out because apparently one of them was swallowed by carpet. Like, and not in a fun sinkhole way, as in the carpet rose up to consume.
Not in a fun sinkhole way, in an unfun sinkhole way.
Not in the fun way people get consumed by carpets.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying this. This is actually fun.
This is rather pleasant. It's like a warm hug.
We better get the kids here quick. This is the best ride I've ever been on. No, I love it. Brian Smith over on YouTube also says, haunted house, I'm definitely bringing my grandpa's World War X pistol with 1 bullet in it, which is very good. It's a very good thing to bring
that
in.
is pretty that is pretty
If other people have haunt things they want to bring in, drop them in the chat, let us know.
Nice. So, basically after that, the city council just sort of like put tendrils out into the ghost hunting, spectre hunting, sort of like community on the down low because they don't really want to super advertise that they're taking some eccentrics up on this. But like, could a bunch of people just go in there, clean out the haunt so that restore the build? They don't mind if the building's a little disheveled. It's already disheveled. Just get the building back in tune with our reality so that they can reopen it for something else. Or worst case scenario, sell it to some businessmen to gentrify and turn into loft apartments, which is the other thing they were considering, which they can't do if it's nightmare.
But one way or the other, this problem's got to get solved.
So I guess like the main gist of that is meet city councilwoman meet one of the city council employees, June, at the sort of like gates to the sort of like the front gates to the magistrate's court at a like specific time. To be honest, like a late evening, early afternoon. So I assume you all basically turn up as your very eccentric selves. Is there anything you want to like sort of like add on your intro, or should we get to the convo?
No, I mean, I think as the sun starts to descend and there's a lone wolf howling in the distance near this small pastoral village. Like I think we see Trips show up and drop like very heavy luggage next to him on the ground. There's like an old duster that is like worn and totally out of place. Kind of roughly hiding as it's silhouetted before this. What do we get when we look at maximum keys? What do we see? I gotta know.
Max is wearing a jean jacket, open, no shirt underneath, electric pentacle amulet, and then like tight leggings and boots.
Nice.
And is holding a video camera, has sort of slicked back hair and sunglasses, and walks up holding a video camera. What's up? Today we're going to the old magistrate's court where a surveyor got swallowed by a carpet. And hang on. It seems we have a suspicious-looking figure outside the courthouse. Could this be one of the ghosts manifesting outside?
Ahem. No, I'm not a ghost. I'm Dr. Todd E.T.'s from Regional Direction University, and I'm here to analyze things in this courthouse, and I will ask that you give me the respect that I worked so hard to obtain over my many years in the industry. And you see Dr. Todd T's like get some dust off like a gate or a door and say, Interesting.
Well, Vlog, let's follow this guy and see if he gets murdered.
You're all met by June, who is a lady in a, I think, really drab, sort of like very business. This is a business. You've heard business casual. You've heard smart casual. This is a business outfit. It's just drab, and she just looks completely nonplussed at everyone here. Perhaps a little dead inside. A bit like the court, unfortunately.
Aw.
She looks like, I assume you are the people. The Spectre Hunters.
Yes, but also not just hunting, but also understanding and cataloging as well.
Understandable.
Just hunting.
She's like, she sort of looks, well, as long as you've signed the council's waivers, and you can do whatever research or hunting you want.
Yes, I'm also a notary, so I notarized my own signature as well, so I am well prepared for this venture.
Wow, what a nerd.
June actually seems
Absolutely.
impressed at the fact that you have done this. I think she takes a very high view of people who do paperwork.
And I look at her and it's like, you seem like somebody who's deft with a pen. I'd love to see your work sometime.
He's like, well, if you survive, I will be the one. If you survive, I will be the one who'll be doing the documentation for your remittances. So I'm sure you'll be able to see good examples of that.
Wow, well, we just met, lady. I look at the camera. Am I right?
Jane's like, I will allow you to. I will open the door, and well, I suppose it's probably better to give you all at least the keys, so that you don't end up stuck on the front lawn for a night like the survey team did.
Sure.
Here you go. And she sort of like opens, I think you see this absolutely ginormous ring of iron keys used to open the front door, and she hands them to you and says, these will open the gates as well. The big wooden door there. Gestures, I think, in the back. There's a side door over there. We're not really sure if the entrances correspond anymore. The survey team was very vague.
What happened here? For posterity.
He's like, do you mean the court, or do you mean like what you were mentioning with the carpet?
Just all the grisly details.
Okay. I guess I can do a bit. I guess I can share this with the adoring fans. The magistrate's court was I think there are some gaps in council records in why it was abandoned, or all we know is that there were perhaps one,
Cover up.
maybe two sitting judges in residence at the time. The major ones being, I think, George Thomas and George Williams. But I think they were accompanied by a panoply of staff. It is not known what happened. It was quite lively. And we recently became aware, due to paperwork errors resurfacing, that this was a building we could use. The surveyors were the only team sent in, professionals from a firm in town. Well, and then the two who came out were greatly changed by their experiences. Hair gone shock white on one of them. Another has a inexplicable fear of loud geometric patterns. We're not sure what happened to the other one. If you could find them, that
Swallowed by a carpet?
That is what they say. We can't really comment on everything. It could have been the carpet. It could have been something else. It could have been a bad floorboard. We're not sure. I can't comment further.
Anything you want to plug to the live stream?
Well, as a matter of fact, I am releasing a small booklet and pamphlet on the proper usage of certain administrative
Max starts
software.
walking away.
You see, Todd is like writing down what she's saying. Oh no, wait. Oh, never mind. Sorry.
Trips has already like grabbed the keys and made their way over the gate and is clinking it open.
Yeah.
To
Yeah,
get
so
inside.
building-wise, I think Romanesque building, so you've got the big old grand double doors, big old wooden ones that like open into probably the main atrium is your best guess, and there's probably, I think June pointed out, a side exit or two. There's probably like just a extra entrance, maybe for folks to come and go, maybe a side entrance, and those seem to be the ones you can see. The outside of the building isn't particularly changed. You don't notice anything particularly unusual about the outside of the building. Beyond that, lots of dust caked up on the windows, and you can't seem to see through any of them, even if you go up close. Yeah.
Totally used to it. So as we kind of open the door into the atrium, or into these big double doors, as we kind of push into them, what do we see inside?
Okay, what you see is first, it's just you're hit by like an absolutely choking smell of just dust, old dust, the mildewing of furniture, and you see like surprisingly enough, there isn't actually carpet. It's like weird, sort of like black-white checkered tile floor. It feels quiet, like people are waiting for something, and then like I guess the moment you sort of all of you come in fully, that's when you start to notice things are off. There is like a door halfway up the wall. There is something wrong. You're not sure how to articulate it, maybe. You can try to check it out, but it's hard to articulate what is wrong about the big grand staircase that goes up to like the two sides of the sort of like mezzanine level in the atrium. But something is wrong. And I'm going to part of the haunts will feature like maybe emotional like key emotional beats for different haunt locations, so I might roll on that to give that a go as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, we're playing Unhaunt at this house. You can go check it out at ttrpg.link/unhauntgame. This is a playtest of the game, though, which came out of our TWJam jam a little while ago. So if you haven't checked it out yet, please do. But I'm super excited to see what comes out of the table.
Yeah. Okay, we got the defining motion is, well, I'll just describe it. You feel a wave. At first, it's like a beat as everything quiets down. And then, like, the nagging sensation in the back of your mind of something being wrong. Maybe it's triggering, like, ghost sense. Maybe it's triggering, like, your showman's instinct. Or maybe it's triggering that horrible fear of maybe that time you had to fight a funding committee as an academic. But you feel anxiousness. You are being judged. And you feel like you are not being found particularly worthy.
I feel like I'm getting canceled on the internet. But in real life.
It's at this moment.
I feel like the last time I saw my great aunt Haiti at a family dinner, and the way she was looking at me, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I feel like that time I was up for tenure review for the 7th or 8th time and was told, no, your research actually doesn't prove anything.
Yeah, and that's and as you all are processing this, you see your first, I think, entity of the house. It's, I think, you sort of hear them first. It seems to be a carried conversation and a sort of like clink noise. Like, I think someone muttering like someone sounds disaffected with their job. Someone sounds odd about things, and then the person, and then like something just phases through one of the walls as if like from a door that was supposed to be there, and you can see it's someone dressed in a bailiff's outfit. So like maybe one of those people who used to take people to the magistrate's court. And and it's like Janus faced, so two faces looking out, and they're the ones that were carrying on that conversation. They both they both I think notice. I assume are you all being particularly like stealthy, or you're just being like, oh, we're here?
Hey, Doc, go interview them for your research.
Excuse me, sirs, hello, Dr. Todd Tees. Yes, I'd love to ask you some questions about your experiences here in the court.
Okay, you see both heads turn towards you. One of them goes, "Is that?" They go, there's a beat. That doesn't seem very well. That person seems pretty well dressed. Are you really sure that he's the escaped prisoner? And you're like, well, maybe. I mean, or he could be the escaped prosecutor. They both turn towards you eagerly. Are you the escaped prosecutor?
Oh no, I'm here willingly, here to learn more and to not take up too much space. But I'd love to pick your brains about your time here in the court.
Oh, well, okay.
Fantastic. So, tell me first. Give me your names and where your names and where you're from.
They both look. We are Henry.
Yes.
Are you sure you're not an escaped prisoner? Because, like, I'm the one who's supposed to be asking the questions.
Oh no! I promise you, I am very skilled in the inquisitive arts. I can promise. I've not escaped from anything. My colleagues and I here are just here to learn. That's it, just to learn.
Okay, I think.
Come on, murder him already.
They're good.
Max, please do not encourage such criminal offense.
They sort of turn towards you. They perk up at the mention of murder. They're like, oh, well, I think there's a weird hushed argument. Like, they seem to be processing on the internet. They look at, and they turn to look at Max. And they're like, murder? Ah, yes, you might be the one then. Someone was accused of murder, and then you see like I think they have, I think you noticed that you're not sure where they pull them from, but it's just spectral chains just attached, I think, to just arise from their back and basically try and grab onto Max. They're like, yes, we cannot have murder in this small town of ours. You will come with us. And looks at, they don't seem to have processed Trips yet.
Trips loves this because Trips whole mode is these amateurs have no idea how to do this. Like, the noise they are making is horrendous. It's obviously stirred up the spirits, but that's fine because it has let Trips just kind of move across the room without any sort of observation towards the staircase. But I think when he hears like the clinking of these spectral chains shoot out, he turns back to look with kind of like a sigh at what's happening to these folks.
Yes. So the bailiff attempts to, I think, the way the bailiff's moving, one of the spectral chains is going to shoot out towards Max, and I think the other, at first, and then at first Dr. Todd thinks, oh, okay, that's something, and then another chain just tries to go for him behind, while the bailiff goes, we've got the murderer, we've got the prosecutor. I think that's what a prosecutor is. They're well dressed, right? Oh, or and then the other head goes, defending lawyer. They're also pretty well dressed. You're like, good point. And then they will get both of you, and we'll finish the trial. So you all have to make, you have to make a roll. This is to avoid a nasty effect. So this is one of the, ×2 roll. So I think make it as 1d20 plus your level, which will probably be
warding.
Yeah. Which would be your level, and if you got any ability bonuses, add those on. So yeah, it'll be warding.
All right, so okay.
Yeah, the difficulty for this guy, he's the two-faced bailiff, is I set it as 12.
Gotcha. So level. So we'd add 3 to it automatically, or just the level in that particular.
I'd say this is defense. It's probably the level.
Defense rolls are your D20 plus your level in warding.
Okay, gotcha.
So 0 for you.
Yes, 0 for me.
And Max also has to make this roll. I mean, sorry, Liam, you also have to make this roll for Max
Yep.
because
I got a 9 total.
I also
Okay.
got a 9 as well.
okay, you're both. I think there's a sort of beat as the spectral chains shoot out towards you and clamp on, and the bailiff just turns to move, and you are basically being dragged along with them into, I think just like into the next room. Trips, you do have like a split second to act before I think they enter the next part of the haunt. So if you want to do anything,
No, I'm just I'm silently following along. This is great.
Hey, I'm just a little guy. I'm just a little dude. I'm just a little man. You wouldn't hit a little guy on his birthday. I'm a little birthday boy.
Max, look what you've gotten us into with your immaturity. I do not associate with this person. Please let me go. I am just a simple academic.
Viewers, don't worry. Experienced ghost hunters like me get in and out of situations like these all the time.
the bailiff doesn't respond to Mac, but does respond, I think, to Dr. Todd. Like, yes, you are a very prestigious, learned man. That is, I assume this means you also know law, and can help us out with deciding what to do with this person you are very clearly unaffiliated with.
I mean, the laws of metaphysics, yes, but not like law of the courts.
Yeah.
Help! And he starts screaming.
I would like to use my warding ability
Yeah.
to banish spirits attached to people or objects. This seems like a spirit attached to people or objects.
That's valid.
Yeah.
So I'd say this one probably might need a roll to do, since it's probably you're attacking or interacting with, I think, the two-faced bailiff. But make that roll and then describe what your manifestation of your ability looks like, I guess.
Yeah, would it be would I roll warding or channeling? Because this feels offensive, but also it's a warding ability.
Honestly, yeah, you're doing an offensive. Well,
I would say if it's a warding ability, it makes sense to use warding as the controlled stat.
yeah, let's stick with warding. It's this will be
Because this isn't you attacking them. This is you escaping connection more so.
Well, you would think that, but on the other hand, I did get a nat 1. So
Oof.
if you really think about it, what is escaping?
I guess you try to draw upon your abilities, but you think like these are chains that might be built for ghosts or whatever the bailiff's been handling.
You know what? On second thought, it'd be much more interesting to see where this leads before we escape. So let's do that.
Okay, so is there anything anyone else want to do before I think we move to the next zone, biome, region of haunt?
No, I think I do want to look around. Actually, no. Here's what we'll do, because we'll keep everything moving in the same direction. I want to just spend some time kind of observing how this Janus head bailiff talks to each other, as well as its uniform, like all the things about it, to see if I can glean any insight into what's happening here, right?
Okay.
And
Cool.
so,
yeah, that'll be an investigate sort of thing.
Yeah.
So roll that.
And so, is there a certain stat that manages investigate, or is it any of the stats just depending on your approach?
I think it's any of the stats depending on approach, since a lot of this is like the mystery. I mean, since a lot of this is geared towards the mystery. So
Cool.
yeah.
I think for Trips, this is more about attuning himself. So I think channeling probably makes the most sense.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just trying to pick up. I'm trying to do a vibe check on this. Bailiff.
Yeah.
Um,
I think you get an ability bonus since you took commune with the haunt, right? So if you're communing, that's an extra +1, right?
So that's a good question. I already have a number of things. I was just actually going for the normal one for my stat. I don't know that I want to trigger communing with the haunt yet. I don't think this is my initial pass. It's not me trying really hard to commune with it.
Sure.
So I think this is just the normal +1 for having a point in channeling.
Cool. if you roll over a 10, you get a clue. If you roll if you roll extra well in the I think 18 plus range.
Yeah, so it's
you get-
16. So I get a clue.
Okay, cool. One of the fun things that I'm sort of like inspired by Brindlewood Bay to try out and Paranormal Inc. to try out is the random table of clues sort of thing and how that works. So actually, even I don't like it. This is I'm gonna be waiting to see your like big old pronouncement to figure out the
Right.
response like whole deal. So I'll grab a roll and have a look. Because each haunt was gonna come with a D20 haunt table.
And do you have a list of those yet for this haunt?
Yeah, I do. That's what I'm looking at right now.
Awesome.
I haven't been able to share it immediately because there's a few things I'm tinkering with in terms
That's
of
fine.
wording. But
So
yeah.
for people who aren't familiar with the way the clues and the theorized mechanic work in Card from Brindlewood games, is the clues are just set by the nature of the haunt. They don't tell you specifically what happens, and then we get them, and then after we think we have enough of them to overcome, like to make a pronouncement on what this is, we basically do theorize, which is us as a group talking about how these clues fit together, what we think is happening. There needs to be agreement on that, and then we make a roll to see if we were right or not. And so,
Okay.
folks who aren't familiar with that mechanic, that's how this is going to work.
Alrighty. Okay, so the thing you see is surprisingly enough, there's a few really odd things you pick up about the bailiff. First of all, the way they're conversing, one of them feels like they're a bit more in tune with like legal minutiae than the other, because like one of them is just starting to break out Latin words, and
Okay.
the other thing is one of their hands is like a skeletal faded hand that has, I think you recognize, it's a ring with like, you think it could be like a barrister society ring, because it's got like it's got like the scale symbols on it.
Okay.
And it's sort of faded. Yeah, that's the first clue. Mm-hmm. A skeletal hand with the barrister society ring.
Okay. And I'm going to keep track of these over on our Discord chat, just so everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
I can only remember how to spell skeletal.
Skeletal.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yes.
And do we know what the difficulty of this haunt is?
This haunt is I said it as 10.
It's 10? Okay.
Yeah, although like
Out of 10?
No, out of 12, I think, right?
yeah, it's currently 12 because like the way the roll works now, because when I was initially when I was initially testing it, it was going to be a D20 for 10 to 15, but then afterwards I realized like probably got.
I like the new haunt mechanic better than the previous one, the D6 roll, with pluses for clues basically that you're able to include. I think it's a good range. So,
yeah. Oh, that's helpful to know. Thanks for thanks for clarifying on that. So yeah, it's a D6 plus number of clues you've got versus 10.
Cool.
Yeah.
So if we have 4 clues, we might be able to solve it, but for every clue we get above that, we'll be able to get more. We'll be more sure.
Yeah. Cool. So you got the skeletal hand. I'll cross that off. So yeah, that's the thing you see. You've gotten your clues, and I guess like at this moment, you all cross, I think, the threshold of the atrium. There just seems to be one of the other looking like doors, and you are all met with the sort of like the whispering of I think, court room.
I have a question. Since I'm following behind, as they are pulled toward the doors, do the doors open or do they just get pulled through solid doors?
Just push it open with our faces.
Okay, actually, that is a pretty fun one, yes. The bailiff does not care. The bailiff's like, yeah, I don't see doors. Walks right through. You both smack, and there's just a weird, like, yank. He's like, what? As I think they are processing something, and then the doors just push open on your faces.
Ow!
Not the money maker.
Dr. Todd Tease also says, "Ow, not the money maker."
You're both entered. I guess like as the doors open, Trips and everyone else will see the sort of like it looks like a spectral court. You think so? Most of the furnishings seem to judder between like reality and unreality, so you can sort of see it in its like done up, sort of like clean. You get a sort of you get sort of like podiums, chairs and stuff so clean you could smell like fancy floor polish, and then it's like a jutter or a jitter of reality, and then you see and then you can see for a split second, faded, rotten, crunched banisters, absolutely like rotting carpet, and no floor polish, just the smell of mold. But
So as we're being dragged through there, for our Max and I touching the floor, like our feet being dragged along the floor.
Oh, no,
I thought we were being dragged, like, what? Just
yeah, like two balloons being dragged along by like floating spectral.
I see. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's they're like you see, it's just the awkward situation of like two people being dragged along like balloons, and I think as you see in the center of the court, there seems to be a weird-looking figure in the middle, sitting at the judge's like stand, and they look like a weird puppet thing, mannequin thing, dressed in like puppet mannequin thing,
like an effigy of a judge. Like this is like a puppet's like a puppet that's being presented as a judge.
Yeah, they're dressed in like they are dressed in like big wig, fancy robe. But you can see lots of joints. You can see like a Nutcracker style jaw that clicks as it tries to open. And the rest of and you see like a sort of spectral audience that seems to be shifting between faceless and not really.
Excellent. I'm going to go sit in one of the spots where no ghosts are sitting. Like I'm just going to slide into and I think I am going to use cloak myself on the haunt. Like this is me. Like I'm just cloaking myself in the haunt to look like I'm a ghost who showed up late to this trial and just sitting there in the gallery watching.
Yeah. Are you up to conjure up a suitably like on like, are you game for the haunt to sort of like when you cloak, you sort of get a sort of shimmery, ghostly, period appropriate outfit?
Yeah, like so 100%. Anytime I use my abilities, there is an obvious like spectral effect that happens around me. So like my very like muted, like I had a scarf pulled up around my face to keep the dust from getting in. I had this long duster on. Like it's just kind of coated over. Like it actually has the look of, I think this is like we get a powdered wig. And like this looks like I'm a lawyer waiting for this case to finish up so that I can because I've got a case pending later in the day. Like so I've got a long black robe, powdered wig, like the whole thing. And I just like this kind of like this almost skeletal look of impatience passes over my face as I slide in and sit down in the galley.
Yeah, you get a bunch of like nods from maybe like a stenographer sort of spirit who just like, oh yes, Honorable Barrister Trips, yes, it's good to see you. Yes. And then, meanwhile, Max and Dr. Todd are being, I think.
Oh, ow, ooh, ow, ooh.
Your bailiff just out. I have found the escapee. Yes, and conveniently a lawyer. Yeah. Or an academic. That's a lawyer, right? The judge does not respond. The crowd just looks. And
I shake along my head along knowingly with the rest of the crowd.
You're both placed at the Sorry, just this last bit. You're both placed.
You go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, this is the last bit. Then yeah, you're both placed at So, I think the bailiff will just plonk Max unceremoniously on the person the stand where the person being the person who's basically being charged will stand. You guys just get unceremoniously plonked there, but they will offer Dr. Todd like just a weird look of puzzlement and just gesture to the prosecutor or defender stands and just go.
Are you prosecution or defense?
Or,
That's the real question.
I
So
don't know.
there's 0 lawyers here presently?
There do not seem to be any lawyers except for the misidentified Dr. Todd and, to be honest, Trips. So
Max is currently looking between the two of them, trying to figure out which one gives him a better chance of not being executed by ghosts.
Your Honor, I would like to claim that this defendant here, Max, definitely did whatever it is you thought he did. He definitely did.
All right. Hey, Trips, it was, right? Trips, they call you. Trips. Trips.
When we're in court, I prefer to be called by my full name.
I think you're muted.
Yeah, you're mute. You might be muted.
The audience can hear me. Y'all can't. Hold on just one second. Google does this fun thing every once in a while where the audience can still hear me, but y'all can't for whatever reason. I just have to go click a thing.
Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Muted, Tony.
Hold on, audience.
The ghosts got him.
No, the ghost turned off his microphone. Oh no.
No, the Google does this thing every once in a while where it will drop my audio on a call, but the audience can still hear me. So if it happens, just say something and I'll go fix it. But it does take a second for me to do.
Okay, no worries. Thanks for the heads up.
We thought you were ignoring him on purpose.
I stand up and say, when we're in court, I prefer to be called by my full given name.
Dr. Trips?
It is Barrister Levering Hawthorne the 13th. If Your Honor will indulge. Can I be of assistance? I mean, I'm not set for court till later today. I was just here to monitor the proceedings, Your Honor.
The ghostly puppet sort of like turns towards you. There is like a clacking, and I think the stenographer ghost who's next to you just goes, yes. Just looks up from the little typing that she has been frantically doing. Goes, yes, actually, it's really commendable that you're doing this, considering like the defendant is clearly guilty. But yes, the judge will accept.
Hey, that seems like a bias in court proceedings.
It's like,
do you have the transcripts from the proceedings so far? I think this is me looking for another clue. I'm trying to see if I can find what the accused is being accused of.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think I'm going for channeling again here because I'm engaging with a ghost.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. I do think in order to get this one, I probably should use commune also too. So I'm gonna see if I can roll and get a little bit more information. That's a nat 20, baby.
Yeah.
That's a 22 all day long.
All right. You see the stenographer who looks like a sort of like court dress, sort of like faceless lady, just looks towards you with the bit where her face should be and goes, of course, yes. Proper proceedings, as always. Please direct. She nods towards like Dr. Todd first, like, please proceed to the prosecutor stand, by the way. And then she's gonna hand you like the transcripts that she's got. They seem to be vaguely solid. Maybe they're only solid to you because you're in like.
Yeah, I think that's why that's why I took channeling this time, because I do feel like this is me essentially trying to pull something out of the haunt and make it a thing.
Okay.
So,
Some of this is in like ghostly languages and also in like vague. It's like a unholy combination of like stenographer shorthand and also like the fact that this is probably at least one language of the dead. You might like that you remember like a relative or something discussing that. So the clues you can pull from this one, I'm gonna roll twice. This is fun. I was kind of hoping someone would hit 2 times. So it's a 9 and a 17. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, the first clue, the first thing you get is, hold on, what's number? Oh, 17. We've rolled that already, so I'll re-roll. 7. I'm trying to figure out how to gel these two together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So you're not super sure if you managed to garner like why someone is being trialed. You know, it's probably a murder from all the way they've been like all the ghosts have been chatting about it. But you see in the evidence doc, there is like mention of partially burnt love letters. Like
hey, I've broken a few hearts in my day, but
yeah. The second thing you notice smuggled in, maybe by accident, maybe because you've communed, the haunt is responding to you in ways uncanny and alien. You also find that like a pretty clear-cut letter, but it's not an evidence. It's not stenographer trial transcripts. It's a letter requesting a replacement prosecutor for this because the previous one was disbarred.
Disbarred.
Yeah, like kicked up. Yeah.
Can Dr. Todd try to grab it and look at it? I'd like to use psychometry on this object for my lore.
I'm sorry, sir. This is Defense Exhibit 1. You'll have a chance to take a look at it.
I mean, I think it's worth this one. I'd say you do have the opportunity to grab it because you are like on the floor, but it's up to like it's up to Tony.
No, I think like 100% Trip says that and like scowls at you as you see this like superimposed like skeletal face over him, and he goes, "Fine, I guess you're going to see it in evidence anyways."
Yeah. So I'd like to use my skill of psychometry to gain information from this object.
Okay, this is gonna be another investigate-ish sort of roll
right.
to see what kind of clue you get, and also how many.
All right, wish me luck.
Yeah.
I think this also sounds like it's going to be lore associated.
Yeah, it's definitely lore. You can use lore.
Gotcha. So that was 12.
Nice. Okay, 10 plus gets you a clue, so I'm gonna roll for that. That's gonna be a clue number 16, which is honestly, wait, is it clue number 16? 5, 6, 7. Oh, okay, yeah. So you get like a vision of something when you're touching the. You get a vision of something when you touch the, like, I think the sort of like letter to get a new prosecutor, and it's just you feel in the back of your mouth a weird taste, and maybe I don't know, and from I guess pop culture or from somewhere else, it's bitter almonds covered by a note of very strong sugarless coffee. Like this is like vending machine coffee bad, but there is bitter almonds in the back of your throat.
Bitter almonds.
That's the next clue.
So
the next clue
the
is
killer had bad taste.
Yeah. And the bitter almonds, there's a poison that has a taste like that.
It's
cyanide, right?
Cyanide, yeah.
Yeah.
Or strychnine, one of them, yeah.
Yeah, the clue is I was a bit flowery about it, but the clue is poison coffee.
Interesting. Thank you. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
That wasn't an interview.
I said no further questions.
Is the judge is just like click-clacking this jaw, like we're getting nothing from this puppeted effigy, correct?
Nope, it's just click-clacking, and like if you sort of look to the stenographer, I think there is like motions to nod, motions to like not nod. But,
Is there a little gavel in a puppet hand?
Yes, there is a little gavel in the puppet hand.
But we get the sense of like also the stenographer interpreted what the judge was saying. The bailiff, like the judge seems to be exerting its will, even if it's not vocalizing.
Yeah, like
Excellent.
The stenographer has been interpreting.
Excellent. No, I love that. That's just great vibes.
Yeah. Okay. What is it? Coffee.
Yeah. I think I'm like, I'll need some. I was just put onto this case. I will need some time to review these notes as I look down at this arcane, like ghost language that I cannot fully interpret. Might I request a recess for just an hour, Your Honor? You can put the defendant in holding until then.
Say what now?
there seems to be like a look of, if a puppet could look like they were considering something, that is what the puppet is doing. Like there is the steepling of fingers, there is the dramatic like look, and then and then the stenographer, and then like a turns to the stenographer, click clack of the jaw, and then the stenographer says, "Well, you are new, so yes, of course. In fact, it's unprecedented that you're doing this, but yes.
Hey, I'm not a flight risk. You can let me hang out, You've already proven you can find me if I go anywhere. It's fine, it's chill.
Do you have there is a sort of like click clack and then the stenographer says, "Do you have bail?"
Bail.
Can I make a suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
Are you trying to exude a spirit calming effect on the courtroom? Are you trying to put them at ease with who you are?
I would say that's not untrue. I was about to tap into my lack of morals and offer up your coin sword as bail.
I mean, you're still welcome to do that.
That'll be my backup plan.
But I like that. But I mean, I just wanted to make sure that I thought that was one of the abilities.
I do have a spirit calming effect, and right now they don't seem to be too hostile. Could I try my channeling ability to sort of have them be chill?
Yeah. Okay.
Be chill about it, like don't freak out.
Yeah. I guess like you can definitely make a roll for that to see like if they consider you a like nice, polite potential murderer.
Yep. With my warding, that's a 13.
All right. Let's see who that beats. I'd say that beats like, that definitely beats at least the bailiffs. So yeah, that's pretty. And the
hey.
So they both try to vouch for you to the judge, and they like. Okay, so you hear like hushed voices as they try and vouch for me with the judge. The bailiff's like, they look like a nice, polite person.
Hey.
And the stenographer's like, well, I mean, like, it's not like they can leave, right? And there's a sort of like nod, and the judge just says like, and then the stenographer says, okay, yes, you have the recess, as long as you're willing to wear this tracker tag so that the bailiff can find you in the future, can find you later if you choose to, not be in the vicinity. And also if you attempt to use the facility, so we know, like, okay. Are you willing to wear the tag? Or
what's the tag? Is it like a technology thing?
I love that it was just like it's a creepy like bone like that you have to wear.
That is a fun suggestion that I wrote, and I like that. So I'm gonna borrow that. It is one of the, I think the stenographer just looks, ponders it, and then she just pulls out like, it looks like a twisted skeletal. It's like a hand. It's like a skeletal hand that's just like curled up.
Damn, that's good.
So she's gonna grab onto like a wrist or something.
That's good.
Hey.
So she just gestures it at you. She's like, that.
Slaps it onto Max's ankle.
Oh no!
All right, vlog. We're on house arrest, but the house is the courthouse.
The stenographer stands up and is like, we are now in recess. Everyone, if you wish to take a break while the new prosecutor, thank you, and the new and the new prosecutor, next to Dr. Todd, thank you, and the new defender, thank you, to Barrister Trips. We will convene in. How much did you ask for again? Sorry.
I asked for an hour, which also they're dead, so who knows what their perception of time is, but
Yes. They're gonna be like, an hour? We will convene in an hour. And then you just see like ghosts just filing out through the walls or through whatever. They're just ignoring, I think, concrete reality at this point. And the judge is still there, but just seems kind of inert. Like as if whatever invisible puppet strings pulling them around are inert now.
Magnus has just showed up in chat, was wondering what's the gist so far. So we're playing Unhaunt This House, which is a Together We Go game that also fuses in the theorized mechanic from Brindlewood Bay, Paranormal Inc., another card from Brindlewood Games. So it's kind of an OSR-inspired crawl of a courtroom, but we're looking for clues. And so far have managed to not try to kill any of the ghosts we've encountered. Just engage with them to try to figure out what is going on.
I'm being tried for murder.
It's an old magistrate's courthouse, and they decided that that Aaron's character must be a lawyer because they're an academic, and that Max Keys, Liam's character, who's a vlogger, ghost vlogger, is a murderer and is on trial for that. And they didn't have another lawyer, and so since I had used my weird ghost powers to look like I was a part of the haunt, I became the defense attorney for them.
I am sponsored by Coinbase.
By Coinbase. And there's a cat there.
Cat.
She's just on the desk. I had to show her. Sorry.
No, cat. Yes, cat.
This was actually just an excuse to have a reason for us all to leave this room and go explore more in other parts of the thing. So, I'll
Hey, real quick. Can you get some thumbnail shots of my face? Right, so I'm thinking something along the lines of, I was tried for ghost murder, real, not clickbait. Here, hang on.
I don't know, like, this is 100% not Tripp's thing, and so like all the pictures are very bad. The coloration is all off. These are worthless. He tries to snap a few shots. Rule of third's not followed at all. The lighting's all off. It's very grainy. These are not going to work at all. Hands the phone back to you. I think we need to check out that staircase out front.
Also, hey Doc, what the hell?
I never pass up a chance to argue in front of people who will listen to me. So this might be a good thing for my career.
Yeah, you're arguing about they're gonna murder me.
Well, I mean, you did call me a nerd earlier, and I'm a very petty person. So
that's not a proportional response.
Well,
if you wanted to be mad at me for something, be mad that I tried to get you murdered for content. Come on.
My apologies. I'm sorry that my anger was displaced. Well, I'll tell you what. Best case scenario is that you don't get found for murder. Worst case scenario is, something bad happens to you and not to me. So
I'm gonna Phoenix Wright turn around this shit on you.
All right, let's. I mean, I don't know if this is your first time or not, but. We need to figure out what's going on here.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Max. I let my pride get the best of me. We will make this work to make sure that you don't get actually murdered.
That's not what I said. I said we need to figure out what's going on here.
Sorry.
Not everybody survives these experiences. It's just something you have to accept early on.
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't feel as bad about it then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, throwing somebody under the bus is different than somebody died. It's a whole thing. But
yeah, don't be so.
And we're walking and talking, classic court drama style. Big Sorkin moment here. Yeah. Back out. I think hopefully to the. Okay, cool. I just making sure. I didn't know if the doors were going to take us back there or not. I want to try to go up the stairs to see what's upstairs.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think the thing about the stairs is when you try and go up them, they. Okay. Well, they seem normal at first, and then they just keep going, and by the time I think Trips is like moving, I think you think you're halfway up the stairs, and then you're suddenly just on the ceiling. The stairs just don't want you to go anywhere. The stairs exude like a weird stickiness.
Stickiness.
I guess like anyone who gets on the stairs, if you try to get off, maybe at the atrium, it's very reluctant.
This is a double staircase.
What do you mean?
Is this has two ways up, or is this just one way up?
It's like a big grand sort of like staircase. So there's a big one, and then it splits into two. Like
Okay.
Yeah.
But it starts out as 1, or does it start out as 2?
It starts out as 1.
Okay.
And I think once you hit the bit, you think there's supposed to be a landing there, and you see it, and it's coming, and it's not coming. It just keeps going and going, and I think I guess if you were to try and traverse more of it, then I think if any of you try to go more, like keep going on it, you might find that it just you're pretty sure you've covered enough of the staircase that you should get to the 2nd floor, but you don't. It just keeps. It's like the building keeps either unfurling or twisting, so that the staircase keeps staircasing.
Okay. So obviously, whatever's happening here, it doesn't want us to find out what's upstairs, which means we definitely need to find out what's upstairs.
Yeah. Anyone good at traversing haunted staircases?
You know, I didn't take the ability that would make traversing this easier. I'm just going to point that out. And so, I mean, I have an idea if we can't figure anything else out.
Wait. Hey, I got an idea. The staircase, do each of the steps have like a little bit of overhang? You know how steps will be like, all right, I'm going to crouch down, sort of put my fingers underneath the sort of little overhang and go, Gucci Gucci Goo. Gucci Gucci Goo. Just try and get the staircase to chill out. Gucci Gucci Goo. Come on.
I feel like this is something you can make a roll for. Just curious what's gonna happen.
It's another calming effect. This doesn't seem possible. It just seems like it doesn't want us to go.
You're just trying to get the stairs to chill out, basically.
Yeah, to chill out. Be stairs.
And can I help this by pulling out my collection of odd keys and jangling them in front of the stairs? Like,
okay.
Gucci Gucci Goo. Let me roll. 15 total.
Okay.
You hear all you hear in the background is Trips going, "This is not how this works."
Don't worry. It works all bit. Sometimes the spirits of the undead are driven by emotion. They're kind of like cats. So you just gotta Gucci Gucci Goo, and most of the time they'll chill out.
What you get from this is a 15 to the stairs does work in the general scheme of things. So, but what you get is let me have a think. I mean, I feel like you do get off the stairs. The way I'm just trying to figure out is where you all end up, because like this is very unorthodox. I'd say
I'll tell you where things I'm looking for, if that's helpful.
Yeah, okay.
I'm looking for the judges' chambers, or I'm looking for like the barristers' like meeting room. One of those two.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'd say given the role, you do. What happens is like you feel a weird pause, as I think the staircase is just like whatever is possessing the staircase is reacting to this, is confused, is being tickled, and is going. You just feel, can a staircase sneeze? It is unclear, but it seems to have done so.
It just sneezes us out.
It's a stretch. It's like a weird stretch as it goes from staircase to big ramp, and then contracts. The world just contracts back into staircase, and you just feel absolutely flung into, I think, the upper corners of the house, the upper corners of the magistrate's court. And by the time, like, I don't know, maybe like a ceiling that you feel like you're almost about to hit it, and it just gapes open and just seals up behind you, and you are in the upper floors of the courthouse, and you are. Well, I don't think it's the judge's office you're in, but it does look from the paraphernalia that you've gotten one of the barristers' places, because there's a coat slung over on a really faded chair. There's a old court wig on one of those like head dummies. Yeah.
I hand the court wig to Tease, because they're not dressed properly for their courtly appearance.
See, I told you that'd work.
Can I try to use psychometry on this too? I want to gain information
go
about
for
this. Yeah. All right. Okay. That is a 14.
Okay, so yeah, you do get a clue from that. I'm gonna roll to see. That's clue number 9 or 19. Ooh, okay, yeah. 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah. You see. Okay, this time you get a mental image in your mind of people, shadowy, faceless people. And like it feels at first it's a slew of images this time. Maybe someone is writing about, maybe someone's like being watched over writing like their testimony, their confession or something, and then jump cut to like a different hand just editing, smudging, messing with it. Just strategically like meddling with it. So the clue that you get is a doctored confession note.
Doctor confession note. Okay, gotcha. Something very strange. Can I relay that to the group?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So I had this vision that the confession was coerced, or that it was the confession itself was either doctored or coerced in some way.
Fucking cops.
Do we from like what we've seen so far, does it seem like whoever they think that Max is the person who this confession is for?
It's a bit unclear actually, because I mean, I'm welcoming guesses at this point because
Okay.
I feel like this is one of those things that you gotta have to try and fit into.
It seems like
I think my question more is like, does this seem like broad systemic? Oh, they were constantly doing this type of thing, or does this seem specific?
I'd say this one. Yeah. It seems to be the same note across both visions.
Okay.
So this seems to be a specific case. Yeah.
This definitely is starting to feel like a rather personal case. Thank you, Dad. Shout out to my dad for getting my laptop charger because my laptop's battery is garbage.
Way to go, Dad! Woo!
Yeah.
Dad in the chat. Let's chat.
Snap.
Let's get a D in the chat for Dad. That's great. I want to try to I want to look around this space also. I'm gonna like sit behind the desk, like start looking through the drawers. For the confession note. Essentially like try to look for like that was the like defendant side. I'm gonna look from the lawyer side and just try to figure out what this lawyer's role in this may have been. Which unfortunately feels like it's not a channeling thing. It's more of a lore thing, which means I'm going to have to roll lore, which I have 0 points in.
Okay.
That's an 11 still.
Okay, that works. You do get the clue for this one. I'm going to see what turns up. So, sorry, just to double check, because there was a bit of interference on my end, what were you looking for about the lawyer's MO?
I'm looking, so, like, I feel like what Aaron saw in the vision was more about the defendant, and since I'm in lawyer mode, I'm like, okay, what was the lawyer who was working with this defendant? Like, I'm looking for their case notes or for, information they have, or even a personal item that I think gives me more insight into who they were and what their role in this might have been.
Okay, yeah. I'd say as you're looking around, what you find is, in terms of the, I guess, like lawyer's personal effects, or just in general things you might find in there. I guess there's a lot of, I think there's a surprising amount of, I guess, papers, and as you page through them, you find like 1 or 2 seem to be a little odd, maybe hidden beneath the others. Maybe you peel open like a false panel and there's like letters discussing, I think it seems to be of a business nature, you think. some kind of development, some kind of like construction. It's just miscellaneous business papers discussing business arrangements.
I have a thing I'd like to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to use my wealth ability to pinpoint the haunt's most valuable object, now that we're a bit
Oh.
deeper into the courthouse.
Okay, yeah.
Just like, alright, vlog, let's see what we can scavenge in this expedition.
Okay. So I'd say with this ability, since you're activating it in the office, you'll probably find like one of the I guess the way I run with it is the most valuable thing in this office. Is that all right?
Sure. Yeah.
Or
That's solid. Just trying to get a little bit of side income.
Oh, okay. Oh, then
A
yeah,
little
sorry.
bit of- Yeah, it might turn up something useful, but that's not Max's intent.
Okay, yeah. I'd say what you find. I guess like there's a bunch of I think you're sort of like aware and I'm trying to figure out how this ability reacts. Maybe it's a psychic sense. You are amusingly tuned to the expensive and finer things in life, and there's a few pings that register throughout the haunt. You do get a view; they're scattered around, but the things right now, you find in like, ooh, there's a panel here. You think there's a panel behind the wall, and sort of peel it, and like there is a crystal. You know those things you use to pour wine? They use to store and chill wine.
Ah,
and it's crystal.
sweet. Sweet. You don't think they'll add theft to my charges if I take this, right? They're not attuned enough to reality.
The reality is, even if they do,
yeah,
you're gonna die if you. I mean, like right now.
Yeah.
There is
so it's a crystal.
Wine in it, by the way, it's like
crystal wine.
It's I guess like. So
it's a decanter, is what you're talking about.
It's a decanter. Yeah, I was looking for the word. Sorry. Thank you.
No, you're good.
Right. It's a cut crystal wine decanter. It's got little gold decorations on it. It might even have like a monogram on it that's like I think TW. So like not TW. I think DW. So you know
DW.
Yeah.
As in perhaps Judge Williams
for
the W. This is a clue, correct? Just for note-taking reasons.
Oh no, this is just something I went for like, in terms of valuable.
It's just loot.
Just loot. All right. How many gold pieces is that worth? In today's modern economy, how many gold pieces?
I'd say actually, given I think the interplay of loot and like information in the haunt and loot and clues in the haunt, you can use it as a clue if you want to, but also it is mostly like me going, well, that's a shiny what's a shiny object that makes sense for an office? I'd say in today's value, I don't really know.
I don't need an actual value. I was just making a joke about gold.
That's fair. It's pretty expensive. It's definitely like pricey. That's what I'm gonna say. Pricey and upper class range, in like something you get for like an upper class person.
It's gonna have some really great vinegar in it, also.
Yes,
Dude.
It also has really great vinegar. Yeah. Also, while you all are exploring, one of you, not sure, and it's up for anyone to do this, or all of you even, hear a sort of like metallic lever click. And then another metallic lever click. And I think academic context-wise, Dr. Todd, you might be someone who might, I don't know, you might have heard this. Maybe you had a colleague who used a typewriter a lot.
Oh yeah.
That sounds like a typewriter lever at first. You're like, huh. As it gets louder and louder, and then like you realize that there's just like, I think about a split second before like a horde of an amalgamation of typewriters just like frantically typing and clicking, just charges through one of the walls in the office.
Oh gosh. That is very unsettling.
Yes, this is something I think you all are gonna have to roll to dodge because it is I don't know.
I'm just gonna become intangible.
Okay, you're intangible. It phases right through you.
I got a 10.
Let me look at the typewriter.
Typewriters. We have phones now, you uppity stenographers.
Okay. Okay. The typewriters are a reasonably like smaller thing, so it's more of a. This is an 8. Does anyone roll?
I got a 9. Thank goodness.
Okay. Cool.
Worried.
So you both dodge roll around the typewriters, but now it's blocking the exit and it's clicking frantically at you all. So as far as I understand, with the Down We Go system, I don't really make rolls. It's either you all attack or you all dodge things, right?
For initiative, it's usually for the party. So one of us just needs to make a roll on a 4 through 6. It'll be we go first on a lower. They'll go first. So,
yeah.
Do you want to make that roll, Aaron?
Yes, absolutely. All right, let's see here. Hello, 6-year-old Harper. It's a 4.
It's a 4. All right. Hi, Harper. We're gonna go first. So we have first action. We can decide what order we want to act in, but this thing is acting aggressively towards us. So.
Yes, it is. It is clicking its typewriter levers menacingly, and as you all square up for battle, that thing that you push to reset the thing clicks. it just clicks itself menacingly.
That was a close one.
I think I'll go first. I'll just attack with my old sword my coin made of old swords.
Yes.
Wait, my sword made of old canes. Coins.
Yes, okay.
I rolled a 15 plus 1 for channeling for 16 in total.
All right, yeah, that does hit the thing. So this thing's difficulty is, I think it's a 8. It doesn't. Okay, yeah. So yeah, you managed to do a hit on it. This thing. Not gonna mention the fortitude to you all yet, but yeah, you sort of see like you managed to. I think you managed to do pretty interesting amounts of damage to it. Like you managed to, I think, with the sword bash or slice. Even it's weird that the sword made of old coins is like acting in this way, but that's supernatural for you. Just I think you managed to cleave off some of the typewriters.
Cool. They
fall inert to the floor, separating from the main horde, which seems to be really unhappy, as it I think goes for. By the way, just to ask, is initiative like your side acts, my side, and then I narrate a reaction, or is it?
It's you. So it's usually we all take an action. You say whatever creatures we're facing do next after that.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, a bit's been cleaved off. Yeah.
Liam, Aaron, what do y'all want to do to these typewriters?
Neither of us are particularly combat adepts.
That's true, but like so about a big part of it's like narrative conceit, and down we go.
That's
so like you've got that electric pentagram, so like slamming that into the side of one of these things could essentially be a weapon, or you could use an ability, right? Like you could try to calm this thing down, even though I just sliced into it, so it may not be happy. Or banish the spirits that are attached to them and try to get them to.
Wait. For summonable companion in a jar, can I summon one of the typewriters into a jar to trap it?
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
All right.
So I'd say that's. I mean, if you're going for one of the inert ones, I think. Yeah. Wait. Oh no, you're summoning. Okay, you're attacking. Cool. Go for it.
So that's 20 total.
Oh, congratulations! Yes.
Just pull out a jar. I pull out a jar and I say, "Hey, I pull out a jar. I'm holding my video camera like this. I'm like, go on, get."
So you're basically saying you've got an empty spirit jar that you want to suck one of these things into.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Yeah, that definitely, like, you roll a 20, that works. You see, like, if we're gonna continue the goofy Danny Phantom theme by references in this one, there's the Phantom Thermos where you just or like a Ghostbusters style ghost trap sort of sensation. It's like a bunch of typewriters just fly off the main body, and one of them just zooms into like your spirit jar. There is a lot of angry rattling.
Hey, calm down. I didn't want to do this. But you're acting up. You're acting rude. We could have collabed. We could have made some killer content together. But now you're in a jar, and that's not ideal content for either of us.
Yeah, I'd say at this point you're probably it's not a particularly strong pile of typewriters.
Right.
So you might have maybe like I think a 2-hitter in maybe 2-3 hits.
I've fought tougher typewriters in my time.
Yeah. Does anyone want to do anything? I think Aaron, you've got your
So Dr. Todd Tease is he's scared, but he has a moment of bravery. Takes his collection of odd keys and he says, "I saw my nephew do something like this one time. I bet it'll work effectively here." And he winds it up and he tosses it like Pokeball style at the typewriters just to see if that maybe will hit them some way. That's the only time he's ever seen anyone hit anything in his life was his nephew's, watching an episode of Pokemon. So he throws the keys, or maybe even like Yu-Gi-Oh style, throws them at the typewriters. To see if that'll
I reveal old set of keys.
Yes.
Okay, make a roll to see if that hits the typewriters.
All right. There's a 13.
Yeah, these typewriters are not particularly durable. This is one of the smaller. I was testing one of some weirder, smaller enemies alongside the things with higher difficulty in the courtroom. So, yeah, you throw the keys. There's a very dramatic you do a power pose, and then the keys just and then there's a horrible shrieking noise as the keys get stuck in one of the typewriters, like paper input zones, and it's just very unhappy. It seems to, I think you managed to stem one of its, potential, things it was winding up to do, which is that one of the abilities I set for his typewriter was cacophonous typing, and it managed to, mess with the main engine bit of that. So it's a horrible noise, but it's not a magically affecting horrible noise, at least. It's still screaming in the background, and you did a hit on the thing. So
nice.
Now it's time. The thing's got 1 hit left, I think. He managed to batter it pretty severely, but it's going to go now. And I think it's going to go for a person who has pissed it off the most. Currently, that's probably Trips, because Trips has actually attacked the main body, and I think he can still spit out the keys later. So while one half of the mass is dealing with the keys, and it's not super sure how it feels about Max at this point, because on one hand...
We can be friends. We can collab. We can have a business. We can co-host each other's streams. You just need to get with the times and chill.
Okay. A bunch of the typewriters sort of shifts. I think you're not sure it distorts. There's ink and weirdness just dripping from some of these. Some of the ink looks like viscera. You're not sure what's going on, and it just coalesces into a weird fist that just goes for, I think, Trips.
I rolled 12.
Okay, cool. You do manage to sort of duck out of the way of the fist. It does obliterate I think another wall panel and a bunch of bookshelves, just knocking piles of heavy Juicy Street books to the floor. And they just shriek, and then the horrible shrieking of the keys keeps going because it's still trying to get the keys out of the mouth, but it's just itself. Yes.
Cool. Does it take any other actions?
I'd say, given that it's a one thing, I'm tempted to have it take 2 actions because it's it's
a bunch of typewriters. That's fine.
Yeah. In which case, I'd say it's going to try to. I think it sort of surges and I think reforms into you're not sure what is going on, but you just get a sort of reforming bit of the typewriter beast that just begins. So, attempting to kill someone by extreme paper cut. I assume this will probably be... I'm gonna flip a coin and see if it goes, and if the paper shredder goes for like Todd or Max. Let's have a coin flip. So okay, yeah, it's going for Max. You get like it just turns towards you. You hear like a click, 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 and then like lots of paper. You're not too sure where. Maybe from the stomach of the typewriter beast, just like shoots out at you like a printer exploding or a copier malfunctioning. Yeah, make a roll to see if you can dodge death by a million paper cuts.
A million?
1 million paper cuts.
14?
Okay, yeah. That actually clears it. Perhaps you're blocking the spirit jar. Perhaps you are
I'm gonna try and dodge because I don't want the spirit jar to break, and I'm trying to befriend this typewriter. Having a typewriter familiar would be incredible content.
Okay. Yeah. I'm pondering the numbers for this, and that's yeah, because it's a set difficulty for both, but that's interesting.
Yeah,
so,
I mean it's the interesting thing about Down We Go is you're gonna have to figure out the blend of like what is the average difficulty you want this thing to be, since it's typically a fixed number for attack and defense. So,
yeah,
now, but you could say like you can give it a specialty, like launches out paper that always hits, and it's going to do a damage, right? Like it's what's going to happen unless they have an ability to counteract it. So you can always write in specialty that there's another effect, right?
Okay, yeah, that's helpful to know, and thanks a lot. Yeah, because this is one of the this is one of the because like I said, this is 8, which I think is, which I think works for the typewriter beast, but I might adjust the numbers as things go on, or depending on how like the final confrontation goes.
Yeah,
you all are pretty squishy. So yes, the thing's done. I think with its actions, it's back to onto you all. You've dodged the paper. You've cleaved off bits. It's still trying to get the keys out.
I'm gonna jam my sword into the one that just shot all the paper out. I rolled a 13 plus 1 for 14 to hit. To try to take that one out.
Yeah, that was the last. I think that is basically the final blow. You want to sort of like describe. You want to like fill in the description.
I think we like as it blows paper out, like we almost see it like looking like it's swelling up again, as if it's like right, and like I think we see like it typing out like make sure you file in triplicate as I jam this sword made of old coins down through it. And I think like typewriters they have ink ribbons, but I think what we like see is just like this smudging of like letters and words that kind of erupt out around it on the ground. That's like all this legal jargon from whatever case it was typing on just explode out onto the floor around it like blood.
Yeah.
Holds up the camera. Damn. Now that's what I call a habeas corpus.
Yeah, you're all standing.
Not what that is even a little bit.
I'd like to think that Dr. T's in a weird way is like, such beautiful academic tools struck down in their prime. However, they also were attacking us. I feel forlorn.
Don't worry, I still got one here. Tap tap. Got to figure out a name for it though.
Yeah.
Selectric.
Yeah.
Selectric.
Can I investigate the typewriter remains?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And I'm going to use my insight tool or insight ability instead to add a +1. Oh, that fell off the floor.
Oh, you die in a horrendous manner.
So I got a natural 1, but that's a +4, so that's a 5 total.
Oh, okay. So the threshold is a 10 plus recluse, so I'd say your destruction of the typewriter monster is it was great. On the other hand, it means that most of the typewriters are smushed up beyond compare, except the little buddy in the jar.
Dang it.
All you get is like sub Rosa, or like error.
Well, sometimes you just can't figure things out, and that's okay.
How much longer do we have left on our hour before we have to be back in court?
I'd say. Well, okay. I'd say you probably went through. You're probably at least like 50 to 60% of the hour done, because
Cool.
like I think fighting a typewriter beast, strolling around.
Yeah. I'm gonna open the door to leave this this place that we got launched into. I don't know where we end up though, so that's a great question.
Alrighty, let's give it a roll. Let's leave it to the dice. I'd say.
Before we leave, can I grab some extra ink ribbons and paper to feed to the typewriter later?
Yes, you can. Go for it. I'd say number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we've done the abandoned office, so I'll have to re-roll that unless. Is tree any? Oh, actually, yeah, this might be a fun one to give a shot. So you walk over. Oh, so you walk from the office and you find. Actually, this one's not. For once, the building seems to make some semblance of sense, except for one small caveat. You walk into a sort of like grubby, maybe like those like office, maybe like it looks like a cafeteria. It looks like a cafeteria, a sort of place like where people would take meals,
Sure.
maybe. And the problem is like half the stuff is. So like in a Rubik's Cube, when like part of the room, when you like shift it and like you've got one side that's like red and one side that's yellow. That's what the cafeteria room seems to look like. It looks like a flipped over Rubik's Cube, so it feels like a large giant took the room and just flipped it. So there's just there's normal like tables, and some of them are on the floor, normal orientation. You turn and there's a bunch of tables on the wall. There's some kind of food service tray like section on the ceiling, and
Cool.
like it's just like someone just took stuff and started sticking them everywhere or rotating the axes of the room in an increasingly weird manner.
Is there anyone in here with us?
Yeah, there seems to be someone in here. The moment I think you walk in, there is like I think what. Okay, which one of you looks most like a lawyer? That would probably be.
It'd be Trip still, I bet.
Trip, and then now we do have a wig. I don't know if T's ever put the wig on or not.
He did. Oh, absolutely! Like, right away, he put it on.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Then both of you are getting casted by. Well, it just seems to be a person, entity, lots of like floor length hair, flowing. It seems to be hiding, like sitting when you're one of the distant tables. It just sort of like leaps forward in front of you, and it's just like, yeah. And you see like a horrible grin underneath or mouth underneath the hair, and it just goes, yes. You have I have questions. Yes, I work for the. Can't remember one of the newspapers. Yes. You are the judges. You are the lawyers.
Yes, but it's poor form to comment on ongoing legal proceedings.
I concur with my colleague.
Well, let me think. Are you sure? Can you not be? Is not the case ended? I thought the case ended.
It is not. We're about to head back into the courtroom. However, perhaps an exchange could be made if perhaps we could offer you a bit of information if you offered us a bit of information. What have you heard in these hallowed halls of justice? Surely one as rooted as yourself will be able to provide some light. And since both opposing counsels are here, I feel like this is probably fine decorum.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. This is above board.
So I made a channel roll. This is me investigating. That's 17 plus 1, which is 18. So I'll get 2 clues from this.
Ooh, okay. I'll roll them. So that's 2 d20s. 6 and 7. And okay. One of them's a repeat, so I'll re-roll. Okay. 18, 17, 16. Okay, yes. The fourth like hair mound figure thing sort of like looks at itself and like, yes. All right. Information exchange, equivalent exchange. You see like a faded sort of like weird looking. There seems to be a glimpse of a press pass somewhere in the air, and it just disappears again. It's just like yes. Okay. If you will give me information, I will give you lots of information. It seems to be apt. Yes. So what the entity tells you both, I think it just ponders a bit. What's particularly juicy? What's good gossip? Oh yes. Hold on, let me double check. It was smell. So the clue that you get is. Apologies about this. Yeah, it's the. The entity thinks, but I heard that one of the staff was found with. Well, that's one of the reasons I'm here. You see, they seem to be taking money. Dollar bills found in one of their coat pockets. Yes. It's why I've been sniffing around. You see, corruption. It's always a little spooky. So that's the first clue. A coat with dollar bills found in the pockets, like pretty nondescript old ones. The second thing is one of the. I think the word pauses again. Also, someone reported the smell of oil or some kind of gas in the area. Not sure what's going on. It's just, I thought it could be in the kitchen. I thought it could have been something else, but that's why I was here, you see, investigating. It's for, the news over the river. Then like the entity looks at you. No. You have information, yes.
Yes.
For the papers of the dead.
The information that we have, I look over at Max real quick, and I say, is best relayed by my good friend defense barrister Tease here.
Wait a minute. I thought I was the prosecutor. I mean,
I just meant you're on the defense now.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Can I tell you something in confidence that stays between us and no one else?
It's like, can I quote you as an anonymous source?
Yes, absolutely, you can.
You and me and the paper makes three.
Yes.
Okay. Sure. You feel like there's like I think the entity attempts to give you some privacy from the other two, so you just see like a weird wall of hair-ish, just fiber just raises between like just cuts you off from the other two.
Yes. So I know for a fact that this was a case of poisoning.
It's like, oh, that is good. Yes.
Yeah. And someone tried to disguise it as well. So this was a clandestine poisoning that murdered.
All right. Yes. Oh wait, they react to murder. Oh, murder. Yes. So this means someone else is joining the realm of the dead.
Yes. As a matter of fact, someone will be joining the realm of the dead, and there could be possibly more.
Oh. Wow, that is good. Okay, yes. That is helpful information. Wait, what about the identities? Who do you know who? Anyone special, important, unusual talents?
Not that I'm aware of. We're still trying to figure that out. But I'll tell you, the moment I find out, you'll be the first person I tell.
All right, yes. That would be perfect. Yes. Because I was sent. I don't know why I was sent here. Well, besides the papers of the dead, of course. But
of course, yes.
It's you sort of get the sense that whatever this entity is, they're a little disjointed, but they are very enthused about news, and they're very happy to hear they're like, it sets some kind of contentment in the heart, knowing that it was a poisoning. Information is important. It pulls out a notepad out of somewhere, and then the hair just starts scribbling at it, and then it just like it just lets you out of the fake confession booth it made of hair.
Yeah. I've always considered the press to be an important part of the justice system, being that important fourth estate, as it were, to keeping people honest and accountable to their actions. And so thank you for your most important work.
It's like, yes. It seems to be preening a little. It's like, yes, I've been trying to ask people, but they keep shoving me off or screaming or running or there was a very nice man in a business suit.
Oh, what did they do?
They to be honest, like I think they just screamed and ran. They had lots of equipment too. I was trying to ask them, like, "Oh, equipment, what do you want?" And then they screamed and ran. They ran into maybe one of the wrong rooms.
Gotcha.
I haven't seen them.
When did this happen?
There's a pause as it attempts to process time again. Moons? Yes, during the you get a lot of like very specific astronomical stuff. So there's like glimpse of the hunter's moon. It attempts to say like this is when I think the constellation of Virgo was in ascendant. This was since you're an academic, you might hear at least one reference and recognize the Roman tax year. Something is attempting to be conveyed. You're not sure.
Oh, okay, interesting. Well,
but it was probably recent, despite the Roman tax year. It was.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that piece of vital information with us.
Mm-hmm. They're like, yes. Well, I will leave you to your business, but I will attempt to see you at the court. I always get thrown out. Walks off, slopes off, slides awkward off.
As the hair wall is coming down, Max is being like, so what's the over-under on him being murdered for not giving good enough? Oh. Damn it. I mean, hey!
They're like, yes? Wait, who are you? Are you...
I'm just a fellow member of the press. Also here, gathering some information to share with the public.
And
you have a... Wait. Do you have a... Lifts up press pass. Do you have this?
Yeah. I just, mine is just getting updated because I recently got married, so my name's being changed, so mine's getting updated, and I'm just sticking with the lawyers until that all is repaired.
Do we get a sense that I'm sorry, my brain totally went two different directions at the same time.
No worries.
I just want to make sure the two clues we got were bills found in a coat and the smell of oil and gas in the air. Was that the other one?
Yes, that was the other one. Sorry. Yeah.
I just double checking.
No worries. Smell of oil and gas.
Excellent. I mean, the case has become very clear to me. I'm sure it has to the two of you as well.
Mm-hmm. I think the Heron-C sort of like cools off, like, congratulations on your recent marriage.
Thank you. And I hope you find the one as well.
I think, oh, thank you very much. Just slides off somewhere, unclear where. But yes, you were saying, Tony, about the case thing. Yeah.
No, I was talking. Yeah, I was in character. I think it's become very clear to me. I'm sure it has to the two of you also.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty clear, but like, just to make sure we're all on the same page, what's so obvious to you at this point?
Do y'all want to do the move now?
Yeah. Let me look at how that works.
Now, so I have a question for you, Kristen. Do you want this to work in a way that Theorized does in Brindlewood Bay, where there's a discussion, or is this more of a flat roll conceit in your vision for Unhaunt?
Oh yeah, I think my vision was similar to Brindlewood Bay's in the
cool.
y'all have to sort of like hit like a spitballing theory, see
Right.
if it works, sort of deal. Yeah.
So the way that Theorize works, it's very egalitarian around the table. So like in Brindlewood or Between or any other games that make use of Theorize, but this in it's called the pronouncement, right? Is we would look at the different clues that we have. At this point, we have 9. Means if we include all of them, we will succeed. Like, right? If we can figure out a pitch for how all these go in, we'll automatically succeed because it'll be a 1 plus 9 is 10, right? Which is
because you've gotten a lot of clues. You got some
right. We got a lot of clues. If we can't fit them all in, that's fine. It's just going to adjust that wiggle room. So we're going to look at these clues and figure out which ones we can have that comes up with a theory about what is happening in this haunted courthouse.
And to set expectations, once the pronouncement goes off, there will be probably like a final sort of scene when you might have to wrangle the haunted position, or do something that basically wrangles its central conceit.
All right, so one aspect of it that's jumping out to me is corruption. Another is something burnt down. There's the love letters, the smell of oil and gas, and the skeletal hand, which there's not a ton of ways for. If we're assuming that these are rooted in their time, there's not a ton of ways to get down to skeletalness, but being burnt away is one.
Yeah. I and we have a couple burning things in there. I also wonder, like, a barrister rings society on a skeletal hand. Now, we saw it on the bailiff, right? Like in this particular thing, which is an interesting place to see it because a bailiff is not a barrister. And so the conceit which creates a very interesting relational dynamic kind of in that moment. Is this a disgraced barrister? Is this were they in a relationship with somebody and this is a memento? I think there's a lot of interesting things here, and I do agree that there's a piece of corruption, something with burning. We also have a poisoning happening. At some point in time, which seems a little bit off. Maybe we just kind of leave that one off to the side for right now. But I do like it because poisoning and romance oftentimes, like close affiliations, will go into. So maybe there's a few things happening. I also know that the judge themselves seem to be they're the only one without a persona, even though we see them as like a spirit in this space. They don't embody any sort of like conscious reality, which is very interesting also too. Aaron, what are some of your thoughts looking at all these clues?
I say too, I think that maybe the prosecutor that was disbarred had stumbled upon what had actually happened, and they were disbarred, and then someone murdered them and took their and they got rid of that person.
Oh, I like that. So maybe the business papers and the money are connected to the corruption. We found them in the barrister's room, which means that this is evidence that they had gathered, right? Maybe even the decanter falls into that same kind of reality. They were
embezzlement.
Yeah, they were poisoned by the bitter almond coffee, and then I think maybe there's an attempt for cover up. Which is where we get into maybe some of these burn things.
It's a 2-layer thing. One, I'm just trying to figure out whether the poison is taking out the lawyer who found out the truth, or the fire was a sort of broad sweep to get rid of a bunch of evidence in a problematic lawyer.
I feel like it feels like that's more of a secondary thing. Like we don't know what evidence they have because the evidence was still hidden, right? We do know that they're coming after us. We're going to poison them, and now to do that, I actually like the bailiff maybe as the beloved of this person, right? And this is like a memento. Like maybe they tried to put out the fire as they were, or maybe they were grabbing this ring off the desk as the fire was raging.
Or it's even like when I was in high school, I gave my girlfriend my class ring to wear, and it's like a class ring, like for your sweetheart thing.
So I think we've got a good realm with the impetus for why this is happening. I think getting the fire. So do we see the bailiff? Maybe they're the beloved. Are they a part of the conspiracy, or are they separate from that?
I think we have four people involved. We have the initial victim, we have the prosecutor, we have the beloved, and we have the sort of mastermind embezzler, right?
Right.
Those are our four components.
Right.
Who would the initial victim be?
I like the initial victim as the lawyer.
Yeah.
Who's poisoned, whoever that happens to be. I don't know if they're the prosecutor.
Maybe the crystal decanter implies that the judge. I can't imagine being a judge pays great, right?
Pays better than being a lawyer. I do like the judge. The judge is this absent spirit. I do like them as maybe almost the spirit of corruption that we're encountering,
Yes.
right? Like this effigy is no longer a person. It is now the spirit of corruption that hovers in this place. So I do like them as a thing. I do like the crystal decanter as connected to them.
A sign of corruption. And then because we think at least one lawyer was murdered by poison, and then another died by fire, right? Another died by because there was a lawyer who had to be replaced after the trial began.
Yeah, but if one was poisoned, that would be another. I mean, you would already need to replace somebody.
Yeah, but who's the initial victim then? Because you don't have a trial.
I think we have a lawyer who has uncovered corruption, who gets poisoned while doing a case and has to be replaced, and then there is a conspiracy to destroy the evidence.
All right. So, did anyone die in the fire, or did we just burn? Was the burning down of the poison crime scene to including the evidence to sort of cover up what had occurred?
Yeah, maybe it was just the evidence was destroyed.
Okay, so compounding that.
At this point, as Dr. Todd Tees is putting all this together, I'd like to use my my knowledge ability. You recognize this haunt type and gain critical knowledge.
Okay. I'd say... Okay. Let me try and figure out the haunt type. Yeah.
Let me remember what I was thinking when I wrote that ability.
Okay, yeah. Sorry about this. Pondering, trying to figure out how this squares with all the theory crafting, because I've been lifting that very intently. I'd say it feels like, I think you recognize, maybe you've seen articles about this. It's definitely confirming something for you, which is that it's...
Kristen, what I might lean on at this point in time, if it was me running this, and it's up to you if you totally told me to shove off, I would let Aaron make a statement about how he thinks these things connect,
actually that
and
is
just
a better
assert that
vibe.
it's true. I would because the brilliance of Brindlewood and of Together We Go stuff, you don't have to know any of this stuff. It is totally appropriate to now say, yeah, you've read an article about this during your discovery. What did it tell you that matters right now? I think is a great question, a way to lean into that.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah, thanks for the suggestion. I like that a lot because I've been trying, because one of the things I've been trying to figure out how to balance, and when I was writing GM advice for this game, was just trying to make sure that incorporation of
I've got notes on that. We can talk during. So you've done a great job. I want to hands down, no qualms. I just notes that I'm coming through thinking about how the two types of tech interact. But yeah, Aaron, do you want to make a pronouncement about what you read?
Go for it.
So I think so far we focused so much on what we think has happened in the past. I think that there's still yet more to be discovered, and that our cute, sad defendant here has been created as the perfect patsy for where they will plant additional evidence on him, so that after his death, so after some untimely death, they'll then say, "Oh, we found the person. They're dead already. We can put this. It's closed. It's open and shut because we found evidence on them."
So it's the doctored confession note.
Yes, and the burnt love letters too.
And the burnt love letters are and
the money being put in the coat.
right. So these are some of the stuff suggested corruption. Those are all patsy things. So we've got a barrister. They uncover corruption. They do it by finding these business documents and the crystal decanter suggesting
The judge is well off.
the judge. They are poisoned. And we do know that evidence is destroyed. I love the idea of the bailiff maybe being somebody who was a key figure of this, who could have gone either way and is kind of torn between love and duty, which is why we see the Janus head reality of them.
Yeah,
Yes.
I actually had a thought on that. Perhaps because the barrister ring you brought up, perhaps that is perhaps the bailiff is the disbarred prosecutor and was disbarred because of actions it was sort of like in on the take a bit, but like was sort of straying away, and they thought it'd be too suspicious to kill the bailiff too, so they disbarred the bailiff as a prosecutor.
It would be hard stretch for me to think about them then retaining him on as a bailiff after the fact. Like disbarment usually being more a more consequential thing in legal circles than that.
Yeah.
I do think thinking about how he is involved is good. I'm just trying to think if there's anything we have not included yet.
The replacement the disbarred prosecutor is the thing that I'm trying to figure out, because
Letter replacement because the previous one was disbarred.
Because disbarred from life, perhaps.
Well, that's the question. Did they cover up the murder by just saying this prosecutor has been disbarred? Right. So did they poison the prosecutor who's doing it, and then say they were disbarred,
and then be like, yeah, he's gone, he's disbarred,
right,
and he's not actually around anymore, and that's why he's not around,
right?
Then in that case, what is the current trial about?
I think the current trial is framing you for the corruption, right? Because we know that the love letters and the money has been was to be placed with you. We have the doctored confession note to go with that.
So in this scenario, I am the prosecutor who got murdered.
No,
you're a patsy.
You're just a random person that they can assign this to, so that they.
So the patsy and the guy who found stuff out and got murdered are different.
Yes.
Correct. So here's what we've got. We've got a barrister. They discover corruption by finding these business papers and the crystal decanter. We've got a poisoned a prosecutor poisoned because they discovered the business dealings and the crystal decanter, implying that the judge was on the take. After they are murdered, we have the letter requesting a replacement prosecutor because the previous one was disbarred. And then we have you are now being implicated. You were on trial as somebody who was a patsy, and it's really not you, but
not
the
me,
patsy,
but
right?
the
The
patsy.
defendant was on trial, and they had the money found in a cloak and the partially burned love letters entered into evidence against them that were basically plants, right? And then I think what we see.
That's also where the oil and gas smell comes in, I would assume.
I think we see the destruction of some evidence. I said, for me, narratively, I like the Janus, the bailiff is kind of torn between his maybe duty to the judge and maybe his love or affection for this murdered prosecutor. And he was the one who was tasked with destroying evidence and maybe even the body, I think, too. I think that gets us everything. I also
That's
don't.
where the ring is.
One of the things is
from.
we don't have to include everything. It just affects the bonuses we get, right?
Yeah.
And so,
Okay.
But I think that theory. Let's just set aside Bears to Society Ring on Skeletal Hand for right now.
All right.
Because even though I know it's their first one, let's say that we don't know how the bailiff is involved exactly.
We simply will not roll a 1.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So how do we feel about that?
Very good.
Okay. Christian, does all that make sense to you as the GM/keeper?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So prosecutor got poisoned for discovering evidence of corruption, and now like the trial's trying, and your theory is that then now the current trial is basically to find and frame someone else to take the fall.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, yeah.
Alrighty. So as you gather here, I just want to ask. I think making the roll, and then afterwards I will ask some questions about how you all want to approach the final confrontation. Yeah. So make that roll. Does anyone want to volunteer to make that roll?
Not it. I'm a bad roller.
I mean, Tony's the only one of us who hasn't gotten a nat 1 today.
Well, that means I'm due, baby. No, that's a 6.
Okay. So you feel a weird intake of breath, and in this liminal space before I want to pose the question to you all in the spirit of both Brindlewood Bay and Down We Go. What do you think is the best situation to fix the haunt now that you figure out what the problem is? Like, how are you gonna?
I have a pitch on that also too. I actually think if I was to narrate this out, right? I think it's best done as a courtroom proceeding.
Yeah, we got to expose the truth in front of the entire gallery.
Yeah. I think I'd love to start with maybe Aaron, maybe with Dr. T's laying out why Max is guilty. So do you want to go through that part of the argument real quick and what it would look like in the courtroom?
Sure. If we were saying that Max was guilty, we would say that Max is someone who lives for the moment, very impulsive, someone who puts themselves first, and so and due to their already admitted lack of scruples and morals,
based.
Yeah, wanted try to find one more thing to line his own pockets, and that involved getting rid of. Are we saying that Max is? Do we say that Max is a murderer? Is that what Max is on trial for? No, it's on for
corruption.
Yes. So Max worked with some unknown local entity to subvert the rule of law and line his own pockets. And here's the evidence we have for that.
Ooh, okay. I'll retcon before this happens. I'd say that you give the speech. I'd say that just for staging purposes, since you were hashing the theorems out in the canteen, can I just say that I assume by the point you hit theory time finish?
Oh yeah, no, I think that's another Sorkin moment. We're like walking and talking back to the courtroom. I think this is actual courtroom proceedings.
Yeah, that's why I was like wondering if we could just retcon that you give this speech in the courtroom because it's meaningful. Yeah. There. Cool. No worries.
So that's the prosecution's theory, and then I'll stand up and say, if we want to dispose that we know for a fact that Max lives in the moment, that he's impulsive, that he is looking to line his own pockets. All of these things are true. None of these are matters for debate here in this courtroom. However, this was not Max. Over the course of our investigation, we have discovered incontrovertible evidence that the very maybe it's the one I'm here to replace, or is it the prosecutor? The very lawyer that my esteemed compatriot was here to replace discovered ongoing and systematic corruption here within this courtroom. Pause for the gallery.
For dramatic gas.
Yes, there is a lot of gasping.
I imagine there's like the marionette like effigy quality of the the thing like bangs its gavel down wildly and loudly.
I'm getting a bunch of reaction shots right now. This is
Yeah.
gonna be killer con.
Someone's face distorts into the scream on camera, like the Herman Munch scream painting on camera, and
Ooh,
there's
yeah,
banging.
that's the stuff. That's
Yeah.
the stuff.
And who could be the one who did this heinous deed, who committed this murder, who sought to circumvent justice and let a spirit of corruption dwell at this place? Our humble stenographer, and everybody looks at this. Camera pans over at the stenographer. Of course not. Somebody dedicated to the accurate recording of justice could never be inclined to this type of temptation. Our
phew, okay.
Our double-minded I like this courtroom drama now. Our double-minded barrister, torn between two ideals, perhaps love, perhaps justice, perhaps temptation to corruption. We don't know, but obviously of two minds, and this would have required single-minded intent.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one person here who this could have been. A person who seems to not even be one anymore, whose very face and visage have been fully consumed by the corrupted realities that they sought in life, even unto death. The judge.
Everyone looks upon, I think the puppet thing. And okay, I'm gonna propose a sort of what reaction, and honestly, if you feel what you want to add in, because this is the player's moment.
Okay.
What the judge? There's a horrible beat as the court rushes and like the silence falls, and the judge just looks at I think for once, I think the puppet is actually active this time, and just there's a lot of frantic, I think, clattering and clicking as it tries to process, and I think the court, you see I think the voices of the court start to swirl. There is a lot of hushed things judging, frantic people just muttering how could you, and they just keep getting closer and closer. They're pushing you all like a weird ghostly sea closer towards the judge as they approach, and it's like a pack of wolves falling upon the judge's thing.
I love this. As this happens, I'm going to use my family ability. Your network grants you some insider resources. I'm going to reach into my bag that I have with me and pull out Livering Hawthorne III's. Livering Hawthorne was a judge at the circuit also. Their silver gavel. And as we get rushed towards the front of the council, the room, I'm going to slam the gavel down on the judge's podium and say guilty.
Yes. The court freezes and they look upon you, and they look at you all, and they go, and then there's this weird hushed whisper, and the stenographer sort of turns to you and goes, "So what is your verdict?" They all look heavily distorted now on the camera. I think there's very much there's some that are just decaying full on. There's some who look like they have weirdly sharp teeth. I think this is a gathering of nearly every ghost in town. I think you might see the hair entity at the corner there, sort of taking frantic notes, but also looking pretty hungry.
Why don't we go around? I think this feels fun narratively. What if we go around and everybody makes? Why don't each of you make a pronouncement on a different ghost, and I'll make a pronouncement on the judge?
Yeah.
Does that sound good? Does that sound fun?
Is that okay with everyone?
Pronouncement as in innocent or guilty,
or what they have to do, what's going to happen to them now?
Yeah,
right.
They want verdict. They want judgment.
Yes.
The court wants judgment.
Aaron, you got it? You're muted.
Oh, you're muted. Yeah.
To our lovely court stenographer, I pronounce that you have the greatest job of all, recording the truth in an objective fashion as to reflect the accurate things that happened here today and the corruption of justice for which you take part. And I just point menacingly.
Yeah.
And also to plug my socials.
There's a nod of acknowledgement. They're like, this is going to the courts of the dead.
I really need to expand the dead market for my viewership demographics. And hey, you there, a bailiff, our good friend the bailiff, who was torn between ideals of justice and ideals of loyalty. You have, by your indecision, betrayed them both? Shocker! And so, you must do, let's say, 69 years penance in,
And everyone says, nice.
Yeah, 69 years penance. Until you have atoned to both the ideals of justice and the ideals of your heart.
There is, I think, a chatter and they don't say much. They just nod in acknowledgement. I think both heads in a at least I don't. Well, you're like, well, at least I can cash in my holiday allowance.
Kristen, is there a judge a ghost you want to announce? Make a judgment for?
Okay. I mean, the last ghost remaining is the hair entity. Since you guys did smash the typewriter, so I'd say, I think skirting the line, the weird, horrible boundary between I think media and sensationalism. For I think just not by existing in that weird liminal space where you could have, I think, where you did offer useful information, but also often in an overdramatized fashion. I'd say the hair entity is probably going to be what I think the most, I guess the verdict probably would be to wander that liminal space until you can find the direction you want to go in.
And then Trips will I think every time this happens is we bang the gavel also, and we see them whatever thing happens to them. For losing yourself to a spirit of corruption, for the complete circumvention of justice, and for the murders of prosecutors' name that we never identified. We sentence you to be banished from this place and to be judged for all eternity in the spectral realm. And then we slam it down and watch this effigy just shake, clatter, and then collapse and fall into pieces down on the ground.
Max sneaks up, and for trying to murder us, you now must make content with me. Slam. Sorry, just had to get that in there for my jar, buddy. I knew you had your big judge thing. I just
that's good.
Yeah.
that's the B-roll we see. We all of a sudden zoom out as someone's watching this on a TV on a YouTube channel. And,
they're there's a bunch of wait, you're streaming live, right? Does your channel have a goofy emoji that they always use?
New. Can I get some haunts in the chat?
All right, let's get some haunts in the chat, everybody.
Let's get some haunts in the chat. Haunts in the chat, everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And let me know if you want a new typey emote. Now that we've got a new member on the channel.
Let's do our reaction roll. Reaction roll is a live stream inside of a live stream. It's our chance to sit down with the creator of a game we just played and talk to them about that game. Today we are talking about Unhaunt This House, which is a Together We Go system that uses some of the theorized mechanics popularized in Brindlewood Bay, The Between, and Paranormal Inc. It is created by our good friend Kristen, and we just finished playing it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do? Tell us a little bit about why you wanted to make Unhaunt This House.
Okay, yeah. Thanks so much. Once again, reiterate my thanks for both, organizing the stream, running this playtest, being great players, and really appreciate the advice both on running the game and on just all the creative input you've all given. Really been nice to run this session. Intro wise, I guess to reiterate the intro, I'm Kristen, pen name Yanahn. I am a Malaysian indie tabletop game writer based in the UK. I mostly write things, draw things in the tabletop scene, just try and overuse the word, and I just like Eldritch things. They're fun. Why I chose to make Unhaunt this house? A lot of times, I mentioned this, I referenced this earlier that I just like haunted house stories, but to be honest, a lot of it just stems from my childhood reading that was every Halloween the newspaper would come out with a spooky ghost story compendium as a kid, and it would always hit and it always felt like with ghosts, and then there was a reason behind what they were going on. That sort of unusual mystery. I mean, most of the time the ghosts in that newspaper column were going to be well, there was a car accident, there was someone who was jilted at a hotel, there was someone who maybe lost money in a casino, or it was very mundane. But this idea of, I guess, this sort of idea of I think that mystery element was intensified when I saw a lot of, I think, horror movies in the genre. There were some that were slasher ghost, but there was a few that stuck in my head. They were oh yeah, we need to figure out what's going on with the ghost. We need to sort of hit the medium of understanding and communing with it, with the situation before it's exorcised. And I really want to, and that was, I think, really intensified when I watched that the anime Mononoke, which really focuses on the people behind the hauntings. And I thought that was, or the fact that most hauntings stem from grievances. I think there was some stuff I read where the supernatural is often a expression of, I think, a discomforting or disquieting issue that sort of plagues the living world. The idea of the past dredging up to bother the living. And I wanted to express that into a haunted house game. And when I saw, and I also wanted to sort of hit the, not exactly monster of the week, but something like that, haunt of situation, of the idea of professionals who just run into these things, who just wrangle these things as a job or some kind of situation. So putting those together with the delves, with the mystery solving mechanic, that sort of spitballing, trying to figure out, that bit in maybe ghost hunting shows when they're sitting there going, so why do you think this place is haunted? What's going on? That sort of vibe. I want to sort of put all those influences together into a haunted house game, and that's why I made that's what I tried to convey with making Unhaunt this house. Apologies if it was a little rambly. I hope that's sort of,
No, it's great. I love it. I had a blast with it. I'd love to hear from our other players. Let's start with first time on the channel. We've got Liam with us. Liam, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, and what it was like to play Unhaunt this house?
Yeah, I'm Liam McCrickard. You can find me at Tomahawk_Bunny on Twitter, or you can look up my itch page, Liam McCrickard, which I think is also technically Tomahawk Bunny no underscore. Yeah, I do tabletop game design. I've made a Breathless game. I've made a Caltrop Core game. I've recently released a piece of a mega dungeon for Jam, and I'm also about to release a little robot goblin thing for Alexander Sheep's Microcircuits. I'm publishing that later today. I really enjoyed it. I really love the theorize mechanic, and I do think that the sort of it works especially well in the sort of construction of history from the weirdness. And I do think that one thing I noticed is that the weirdness pairs with the clues very well, because it allows you to because you're pulling stuff out of a weird warped geometry. Clues don't always have to quite make sense where and how you find them, which is a pretty good tool for helping incorporate what's most interesting to you.
Yeah, Oh yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because yeah, that was I think something I found that was helpful when designing. It was like because with the warp geometry, it sort of acts in a way as part of the support for those like if you want to randomly roll clues, like there is still the option for GMs if you have a table or if you come up with a clue that sounds cooler to fold that in. But but I feel like it helps with I guess like allowing that sort of creating that sort of weird mood where it's you're sitting in a liminal space where it's both a location but also like a layer cake of time and scenes and history. Yeah.
Awesome. Did you have any questions, Liam, that you wanted to ask Kristen about the design of the game?
Also, like if you have feedback, like please let me know because it's a play test. I want to make
yeah, and if you're watching right now, if you have questions or if you have feedback about what you saw, feel free type them in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my one yeah. I think that one question might be like I know that I had a hand in making it feel less dangerous by playing as a vlogger. That one is on me. But how fatal is the game supposed to be? Like when your fortitude hits 0, are you just dead? Are you out of action for the haunt?
This is something I was pondering. I was on adding as a sliding scale for people to adjust depending on what they want. Do they want like a goofy, what we do in the shadow style, spooky, like spooky, mild spookies, or if they want like full on more psychologically horror style. So I was thinking of putting like a toggle in the as an adjustment where there's options for what happens when you hit 0 fortitude. I mean, the main option on the character sheet right now is that if you hit 0 fortitude, you die and your ghost joins the haunt, and that's like one of the big potential baselines. But I'm also tempted to go with like if you want maybe 2 other options, like 0 fortitude, you're just out down for the count for this haunt. You run screaming in a horrifying fashion from the house. Yep. Maybe you get out, resurface maybe 2 haunts down or something. So
you need like the Scooby-Doo version and then like the
Zoink Scoob
version. Yeah, I mean like but no, I like that. I like that flexibility as far as a lot of it goes.
Yeah.
By the way, I love anytime a ghost game happens and it's a vlogger. I
appreciate that.
It's one of my favorite tropes.
Honestly, don't like. To be honest, like it's fun and it is one of the newer. I appreciate that nod to the newer cornerstones of the way we engage with ghost themed media. Like all those like ghost huntings on BuzzFeed, all those people who vlog haunted houses. Yeah.
I also think like I don't necessarily know that picking that character type reduces the actual horror that you can experience. I have some notes on that in my brain also too, because like I think the horror genre, especially in a one shot, it very commonly devolves to humor. Unless we've specifically set down to make this a horrific experience, which we didn't discuss in advance, right? So we could have, I think, decided as players how much more or less we wanted to move into that. Because you have a comic relief character is a very common trope, even in heavy like horror genre stuff, as a way to pull back and then drive home a lot of the time. So there's a lot of narrative beats that can come out of that still.
Right. It's like I guess it reminds me a lot of, my last, I think, brush with spooky horror stuff a while back, which was a Blades campaign me and my friends were in, where it was, it hit black comedy, and then it would just roll right back into it, and then they stab multiple people.
Right.
And then made a black comedy comment about it. But the stabbing.
Aaron, any thoughts? Aaron, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, and what it was like to play Unhaunt This House?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Aaron Gilly, coming live to you from Richmond, Virginia. I am a leadership and development coach by day and improviser and tabletop gamer by night and weekend. And I really enjoyed this game and playing this system. I, for one, don't have a strong background in haunting, horror, anything on the spooky side. It's just typically not my preference. I mean, I have nothing against the genre. I just have never had that,
It's like but you do play a lot of those on stream.
yes, every stream I have with Tony is one of those. But just in general, so I like the idea, and this is actually the way. So Tony, this is a great callback. This is how I reference it too. Is that your different kind of haunting horror things are like Saw or Scooby Doo. I like the ones that are more towards Scooby Doo with like hijinks and comic relief. And so for this felt like that, and it felt really good for me. Like I really enjoyed that. And so, but also, had it been more, body horror or dark horror, that would have been cool too, because it was a very fun game. But I like that there is flexibility in this, in this module, that you can make it customizable to what the player's preferences are. So I love that. One thing the neat thing about this too is that the kinds of skills that you have, every game we play always seems to have skills that are based in, you've got a strong person, a fast person, and a person, right? Those are usually your kinds of skills that you have.
Yeah.
And for yours to be these that are so like in part of what the game is, felt way more fun, because we didn't have to pick like, the barbarian archetype, the rogue, and the wizard, right? We had to actually pick skills that were related to the genre, and that was very refreshing, and so I really enjoyed that.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun like figuring out the skills, because like they draw on, I think, stuff I've seen in like a variety of like spooky ghost related media I tried to consume. I tried to vary them up a little and add my own twists with a lot of the true or soul spooky architecture stuff. I'm glad that folks are chill with the like flexibility thing, because it's something I brought with me as an idea from my last, I think, game project, Stories to Astonish the World, which was a landscape, which was like a fantasy adventure road trip game, and a lot of that was like a playtester suggested, like, what if you want to make it like a big old slog road trip, or what if you want I'm enjoying my life and reading literature while boating through while boating through a weird forest sort of trip. So that's where I think the sliding scale idea came from.
Gotcha. I guess the question I had, so many times we go into role-playing games and tabletops needing conflict or tension or combat. People are driven by that. How do you build? What was your idea of how to build tension in the game and how to build stakes so that death could be a real possibility? Because at least for us, it never felt like it was a real possibility. But because because of how we did the encounter, how do you prefer to build that into your game?
I'd say for me, it's one of the things I've always been trying to puzzle out, because I come from a tradition where a lot of the like stakes and peril come from like being in danger. But I guess like what I tried to seed in, and it's just like stakes where like you're getting where either you're where like it's not just, I think, fight to the death stakes. It's are you gonna see this mystery true as people get more? That was something I tried to invoke. Are you gonna see this mystery true? Maybe a curiosity about what's going on, getting enough clues to sort of like get that pronouncement roll over the line, and also just like escaping. I think I'm wondering actually in hindsight, and this is something I might ask you all. Do you feel like the ghostly peril should have been something that was played up a bit more? Because it's always something I'm worried about when I run games as like
I have some thoughts on that. I had a blast. First of all, I think it was great. A lot of my notes would go to a little bit of genre emulation, but not specifically. More so like, how do you do exactly what I think a lot of us are naming? And so, because for me, intrinsically, like, it's hard to give yourself over to horror, and I think Brindlewood Bay does it well. I think The Between does it well. I think everything Jason writes does it well. There's a reason that we're putting some more like tech from some of his other games into Through the Void, our next major Together We Go release. One of the ones that I think is good, and it's a realization I had with Down We Go that I think is really important, is sometimes just letting the players tell you why they know a thing is happening. Because invariably you trying to scare me, probably not very effective. Like in the setting we're in, I'm safe, I'm secure, I'm remote. Asking the players how they know that something bad is about to happen oftentimes lets me draw on what actually would be terrifying for me far more than you trying to tell me something you think is scary for me. And so things like as you walk into the atrium, right? What lets you know that there's been a gross miscarriage of justice here, and then having everybody paint the scene, for lack of a better term, right? Like everybody says
the scene stall questions. I saw those.
One thing that they, because it also lets you do a little bit of Laura's loot, but like, what is like what is one thing there's been a gross miscarriage of justice? I think is a really interesting way for them to kind of like talk about that space, right? In a way that then lets everybody be cranking up the creepy. And it's one of the most effective techniques for actually driving horror elements home, because then we're all start riffing off of each other, and it's not the burden on the GM to just scare us. I think it gives you like then tools in your tool belt, right?
Yeah.
And even a set of entry questions, right? Like for the Laura's loot stuff, I might even do something like, you've all heard different things about this haunting. What's one thing each of you have heard about, what happened here? And I actually might even leave 3 clues blank or 4 clues blank. And based on what the players tell you, I would write clues into the roll chart that are specifically from what the players named, right? And that means from the get-go, they're saying, here are some of the things we might find here, right? And it might be like, what's one thing you heard happen here? Because that might be a little bit too much given the narrative nature. It might be like, what small detail piqued your curiosity about this location, right? Like, what was your reason for wanting to show up? And then helping work that into a clue, I think would be a very cool use of like Laura's loot to do what this game does a little bit better, which is the clue providing. But I think that loop is what you're always looking for in horror games, because you're really wanting to read everybody, but in a one shot, you don't know us well enough, and we don't know you well enough to know how we do that safely or well. And so that's my just off the top of the dome. But it's also some of the notes that I had. Anybody else have ideas about how to play up the perils?
Oh, yeah, because that's something I was because like one of the things I was like trying to figure out, because I was intrigued by mechanic, and truth in like Down We Go was that like asking players about rumors and rolling sort of that fortune roll. And I was trying to figure out how to incorporate that, so that like having that fold into the clues as intrigue questions, which I didn't really. I didn't like questions. I didn't like writing questions. Yeah, that sounds like something that's cool to ponder. Thanks so much, by the way.
Yeah. And that was like when we went around and around on like what we should do for hex crawls. And a big part of what we realized at the end was like make tables, but leave parts of them blank so that you could ask the players those questions. Like you would say, you're going to the Glittering Valley, right? A place that is like this. Who have you heard lives there? Like, what is what's one creature you've always been curious about that roams that place? You're going to ask each of the players, and that's going to go on the chart. And so it's 100% something that we, as we were moving along, realized some of the stuff we want to do is just leave these spaces for players to speak into. I liked the haunt rules better this time than the original version of it also too, which was like a D20. It was very swingy. The rate at which we got clues, though, was also pretty high. And so we ended up with like basically an almost certain roll.
Yeah, that's the bit I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, I don't think it was bad, though. I mean, most Together We Go games play in like a haunt or a dungeon play in 60 to 90 minutes. So like we weren't off on time. I just think knowing it's going to be a fast game is good. And then my other thought was like, what if you subdivided the clues by location? Like instead of doing like traditional mapping, like what kind of clues can you find in the different rooms might be an interesting way to kind of set up the physicality of the space, even though it's non-Euclidean. And doing like a D6 table for the locations or a D4 table for each one. Just knowing you can always pull other stuff over if you want to, right?
I see what you mean. Yeah, that would be interesting, because one of the things I was trying to puzzle out from designing clues was the branching nature of them, because my last feedback was that the clues I'd written initially set towards a specific conclusion, but so I tried to make them a bit more branchy, which I think might have been something you all picked up on, because there was a lot of trying to puzzle out several different plot tendrils at the time. So yeah, the physicality of space. Yeah, I think it's something I've been trying to figure out, because like guiding folks in creating that space, because that's definitely something to ponder. Yeah. And trying to figure out the issue I've run into, which is because I think you all hit the one outcome, which is that you made the pronouncement on the first go, and I'm always kind of one of the things I've always been trying to puzzle out is what happens if you don't. And I'm thinking writing some instructions, well, maybe like it's just guidance to either it's what's the worst possible thing you could imagine from flunking a pronouncement is probably something fun to ask.
I like that. I also like it potentially even being the difference between because this is like I think I think a lot about ghosts in RPGs, oddly, but like you have different ways of dealing with ghosts, right? Like and different ways reason ghosts are haunting things. Unfinished business is the one we go to a lot of time, but sometimes it's like they're stuck here, they're fettered, like they can't get away until something has been destroyed, right? Which is different. Like there's a physical tie for them. Other ones are that they are malevolent, right? Like they've chosen to be here. It's not unfinished business. They're bad. Yeah. And I wonder if that's actually like almost the scale. Like you roll success, you narrate how you help this ghost move on. You get maybe you get close, right? Maybe there's a range. It's like if you roll in this range, you have to figure out what you like. You have to perform a ritual, right? To prepare for that. Like there's another narrative step, and then the other one being like, yeah, no, that was wrong, and the ghost attacks, right?
Yeah.
Like I think being an interesting thing, like because I think that brings in that lethality to bear and gives you that space, because you can always take you were wrong off the table and just do like a post scene that shows how this ghost isn't actually gone, right? Even though you thought they were, but you could say basically that's where like the ghost attacks is where potentially most of your player death, because we could have walked in and just started swinging at those ghosts and had fights and lost fortitude. We just didn't. We talked our way through.
Yeah, and I think I might also look into a variety of scenario to acknowledge that, because you talk about malevolent ghosts is something that just reminded me that one of the other touchstones I really wanted to bring into that in hindsight I didn't manage to do with this round is that Phasmophobia game that was really popular about a year ago. The one where like if you everyone gets like 15 minutes to splunk, and then after 15 minutes is up, or if you poke the house too much, the haunt just kicks into like high gear. The lights turn off. You get chased by like a ghoul that tries to eat you in the basement. All the electricity is dead. Something like that. And that might be fun for a malevolent style haunt. So that's something I'm definitely gonna fold.
And it could even be like a clock, like every time you make a roll, if you miss getting clues, ticking off a thing of the clock and the spirit's getting angrier, which puts a little bit more of a. You can take as long as you want, but you can't just keep on spamming clues to get to 0, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool tech. There's a lot of great things here. Like, it's such a good system. It's super solid. Does what it's supposed to do really well. But I think there is plenty of space to explore what this could look like. But I also think it's something that you could do in another page or so and get down really well. Or just make sure that the haunt sheets give you the information you need to be able to do that, which I loved. So. Any questions you have for us specifically, since this was a playtest?
Okay, I think honestly you've kind of like addressed all the questions I had. I guess you addressed the worries about stakes, the worries about variety, lighting scales. I guess like with fast games, I guess like a lot of the games I make end up trending towards a bit speedier, but is that an issue? Is that something you all feel was okay? Was it?
This speed is, I mean, anything I can play in 2 hours is great. Like, I love it. I think if you want to make like, so a Down We Go dungeon takes 60 to 90 minutes depending on how fast people go. But the average session I run takes about 2.5 hours, because I know what I'm going to do in the city. I know I'm going to set up. I could just be like, you're at the door to the dungeon. Let's go down and do stuff. But if I want to do more narratively rich stuff, that's where that extra hour of time comes in. Through the Void currently, it takes same thing, but there's more narrative steps. So total session takes about 3 hours, and if I was playing with players, it'd probably be closer to 3 or 4. But it would be easy for me to also segment down into 2 again. Like, what does it look like when you go into a dungeon? What does it look like when you comes back to the station? And how does downtime and stuff work? I could easily segment that out. But I actually thought the speed was great. I think it depends on, is there another half to this? Like, is there what happens when we go back to our HQ or whatever, and we're unfolding like the narrative, those types of things, character upkeep, all that would add stuff. I don't know. What did y'all think about speed?
It's the content house,
right? Yeah, the content house.
Yeah.
That we all
that we all attend and live in.
The content house. It's on the university that my family is a major donor to. That secretly connects us all.
Yeah.
But yeah, how do y'all feel about speed?
Yeah, I think that, like you said about the clue distribution, we were able to acquire them pretty quickly, and I don't know if I really intentionally ever uncovered any clues.
You got the decanter.
Yeah, but that was really more so me. Yeah, that wasn't even by the core clue mechanic. But the overall pacing felt quite good. It is true that we were pretty secure by the speed which we got our clues, though.
But I also knew we were on a stream, and I also went in and was like, I'm going to start making clue moves because that's what moves the story forward. And I will say, in most Carve from Brindlewood games, how fast a session goes really depends on how quickly players start just looking for clues, And so, because I think if I hadn't done that, I don't know how long it would have been before either of you were like, oh, we should get clues,
I'm tempted, although this is me falling back on my old friend, the sliding scale, because I set it as 10, and I'm wondering if it's worth making get a second clue thing even narrower, or just making the threshold for getting a first clue not 10. Because that makes it a 50-50 chance, I guess, which is...
I think if you moved 10 up to 12, it would feel better.
Yeah, let's go with 12.
Because I think 18 is actually fine, because that's only a 15% chance that you're ever going to get 2. You could make it 19-20 also, I think would be just fine as well. Because one time we got 2 of those. And so like that ramped us up really quickly. If it was 19-20, I think you'd be fine, because it's like a 10% chance of getting 2 clues.
Yeah, because the way I was going about it was like that was partially built in as just mostly. I mean, I know how swinging a D20 can get at the time, and I was a bit like, I was wondering if that was a way to sort of like indirectly balance, like, not exactly balance, but just like balance some of the progress if like you get a string of like 5s, and maybe, I don't know, things might swing back around. But I think that was just me operating under like weirder dice assumptions that I should have double checked. So yeah, I think 12 and 19 or 12 and 20 is probably like a good shout for the clue pacing. Yeah.
Because you could always make it anytime you roll an act. Because most Down We Go games have some sort of 20 function.
Ooh, yes.
But you could also just make anytime you roll a 20, you get a clue, right? Like, and then if you were looking for a clue, you get 2 clues. Because it's a good like you slay the spectral beast in front of you, and it like as it smokes away, it leaves behind whatever. And so. Yeah. I have a couple more thoughts, but I'll share them with you offline. I had a blast. People should go to ttrpg.link/unhauntgame to go check it out. More is coming. I know you said you already got 2 draft haunts worked up. Look forward to more, and as you kind of integrate some of the feedback you're getting. But really great use of a lot of the narrative forward parts of this. Love seeing the Carve from Brindlewood tech come in. Always a fan of when people are pulling things up from Gauntlet and Jason's design stuff. And also love whenever we get to shout out Paranormal Inc. by Alicia Furness also too. It's always a great thing as well. go check out that game if you haven't. With that said, we're going to be taking a week off here on the channel because I'm going to be in Seattle. If you're in Seattle and you want to hang out, let me know. We're going to be doing a game night over at Around the Table up in Linwood, just north of the city. And I'll be going to Portland the week after that, or later on in the week for my sister's wedding. But we're going to be off for a week. We'll be back in early June for more games, more interviews, have some great stuff caught up. But we don't have anything on the schedule that you need to be aware of right now. So until next time, we are just going to wave at the screen until I take us all offline. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.